Naruto God Level System, Chapter 461 to 480. Chapter 461 Loot Treasures. I believe everyone knows that there are good knives, great knives and supreme knives in this world, right? And our auction item this time is a knife, and it is a supremely sharp knife. This knife is Reikiri. The auctioneer took out the knife over there. The blade is slender, with thunder and lightning shining on it, and it glows with blue light. It looks very handsome. Reikiri, this easily reminds me of Hitaki Kakashi's ninjutsu. Hyuga-chen listened to the name of the sword and spit out. Of course, Hyuga-chen also knows that Reikiri is indeed a famous sword in Japan. Its original name is also called Chidori. The two ninjutsus of Chidori and Reikiri of Hitaki Kakashi are estimated to be named after this sword by Kishimoto. No matter what it's called, this knife is mine now. Hyuga-chen walked to the auction table step by step. Are you in the navy? What are you doing? Seeing Hyuga-chen coming up, the auctioneer frowned, and the guard of the auction house took out his weapon. This knife is mine. Who allowed you to auction it? Hyuga-chen snatched Reikiri away. The auctioneer's face was already gloomy. He reached out his hand to stop the guards who were about to do it, comforted the nobles below by the way, and then looked at Hyuga-chen. You said that this knife is yours, so this knife has your name written on it. If you want this knife, you'd better go through the proper channels, and don't make trouble for yourself. The auctioneer said in a low voice. Sorry, I'm really sorry, this knife does have my name written on it. Hyuga-chen took out a pen and wrote his name. Look, I don't have my name anymore. Hyuga-chen had a playful smile on his face. The auctioneer's face was gloomy. This person was definitely here to make trouble. Don't think that you are in the navy, so you can make trouble here. I don't think you have inquired about the background of this auction house. There should be a lot of good things in your auction, such as devil fruit or something. Hand over the devil fruit and I'll make you die a little more happy. Hyuga-chen pulled out Reikiri and put it on the auctioneer's neck. Being able to be an auctioneer here would definitely give him some say in this auction house, so it's right to ask him. You are courting death. The auctioneer pulled out the pistol hidden behind him. A smear of blood bloomed, and the auctioneer, who had just drawn out his pistol, suddenly fell to the ground clutching his neck. No, you are the real courting death. Ah, the navy killed people. The nobles below looked horrified, and quickly asked the guards to protect themselves, and some pirates silently retreated to the back. Those nobles are not afraid of blood, nor are they afraid of seeing dead people. They see a lot of dead people every day, but they are afraid of being killed. It's so noisy, I'll kill you all if you make any more noise. Hyuga-chen glanced at them impatiently, then used demonic illusion to control them all. Bring all your best treasures. Hyuga-chen sat on the chair and looked at them lightly. These guys should have some treasures in their hands. Those people obediently offered their treasures, those gold-silver jewelry, and Bailey Hyuga-chen ignored them. This kind of money was the most worthless in Hyuga-chen's eyes. The person in charge of the auction was also controlled by Hyuga-chen, and took out the treasures in the auction. 5 devil fruits, 1 superhuman devil fruit, and the remaining 4 were animal devil fruits. Not interested in knowing what they are called, Hyuga-chen. The harvest this time is very good, the oil and water are very rich. After Hyuga-chen finished searching, he then arrested several pirates in the auction. These pirates can also use it to exchange for military merit, which is equivalent to credit. Anyway, why not do things that are easy to do? No matter how much the pirates offered the reward, they left the auction grounds after catching these pirates. Those who got hit by demonic illusion have their memories rewritten. In their memories, it was the pirates who attacked here, and then Hyuga-chen, the navy, captured the pirates. As for what they lost, of course, it was snatched by the pirates. I searched several other auction houses again, but there was nothing good. I didn't get a devil fruit, but I got a few knives, but they were all knives that were not even good and quick knives. The pirates caught a dozen or so, tied them with ropes, and Hyuga-chen led the ropes and let them walk in front, just like walking a dog. soon came to the boat and let the female soldiers imprison the group of pirates. Hyuga Chen entered the system space, and he wanted to dispose of these looted things and replace them with exchange points. Chen, you're here, what about the strangely shaped big fish you caught? Makoto asked. That's called a sea king. I'll catch you when I'm free. Tell me about the beauty outside. Kushina ran over and asked. In fact, she really wanted to go out and see, but since Hyuga Chen came to Pirate World, they couldn't leave the system space. As for the reason, Shui Haim, the system elf, doesn't know. Makoto, Tsunade, Kushina and the others, like Yuki Haim, couldn't leave the system space. When I'm free, I'll take some pictures and bring them back to you. After talking with the girls for a while, Hyuga Chen took the things to the system for recycling. Up to get a total of 230,000 exchange points, of which the biggest one is naturally the Reikiri knife. Although Reikiri is one of the 12 supreme swordsmen, Hyuga Chen has no shortage of blades, Tuzanpakudo Ryujin Jaka and Kyoka Shueyu, as well as the Kusanagi sword that was almost forgotten by Hyuga Chen. This Kusanagi sword was obtained by Hyuga Chen from the parallel world of Hokage. Its sharpness and tenacity are not weaker than the supreme sword, and it also has the ability to seal the power of the enemy. General comparison, it is not bad compared to the supreme sword. After all, the Kusanagi sword is also an artifact in the Hokage world, although this artifact is the same. After saying hello to the girls and promising to come see them when everything is over, Hyuga Chen left the system space. After catching more than a dozen pirates, I checked and found that they were all pirates with a reward of more than 80 million baileys. Hyuga Chen didn't want to catch other pirates. I told my subordinates to return them to Marine Fando at the naval headquarters. After returning to Marine Fando, I talked to the Admiral Gang Kong Kong about the situation, and then handed over the captured pirates to him. As for what Sora wants to do with these pirates, whether to kill them directly or lock them up has nothing to do with Hyuga Chen. Boy Chen, why did you come back so soon? Garp came over eating the senbei and asked in surprise. He knew that Hyuga Chen had gone to sea, but it had only been a long time since he had gone out to sea, not even 10 days, and he came back unexpectedly. Shouldn't it be a circle on the sea and then come back? Chapter 462 Drago's Defection. I went around the Chambord Islands, caught a few pirates, and then came back. Hyuga Chen reached out and took a few senbei in Garp's hand. It tastes good, I'll buy some when I have time. Hyuga Chen nodded, this kind of snack is indeed very good. Of course, I heard that green tea and senbei go better. Cap said with a smile on Kiba. Hyuga Chen is speechless, why does this sentence sound so familiar, are you advertising? Lieutenant General Karp, it's not good, Lieutenant General Dorag has left the naval headquarters. A naval soldier ran over and said anxiously. Dorag left the Navy headquarters, what's so strange? Karp looked at the out-of-breath Navy soldier strangely. But he left a letter saying he was leaving the Navy, he was going to change the world. The sailor handed the letter to Garp and ran to Admiral Air to report. Karp opened the envelope, his face was instantly ashen, and the paper in his hand was torn to shreds in anger. What? Dorag defected to the Navy? Hyuga Chen said indifferently while eating the senbei. Chen boy, do you seem to know something? That's right, when he was in Rog Town before, he invited me and wanted to invite 403 me to overthrow the world government. Hyuga Chen said. Then why didn't you tell me? Karp's expression was serious, and he was really angry. He didn't tell him about such an important matter. Is it useful to tell you? Can you change his mind? Hyuga Chen asked rhetorically. Karp is speechless. Drago has been very assertive since he was a child. Even if he knows it, it is of no use. It is hard to let Karp tie him up. Cap, what's going on? Why did Drago defect from the Navy? Marshal Kong and Sengoku came out and looked at Karp seriously. Karp smiled bitterly, it's no use asking me, I just found out. Marshal Kong nodded, he believed in Karp, but for Dorag's matter, action must be taken, and he must not be allowed to leave easily. Pelusalino, Sakaski, and Lieutenant General Hyuga, you go and chase Drago back. After thinking about it, he ordered. Sora was also cruel. If Kuzan wasn't here, he might have let Kuzan go with him. After all, Drago was a lieutenant general and his position was already high. Right now, pirates are rampant, and Dorag, the lieutenant general of the headquarters, is actually adding fuel to the fire. How could Sora easily let him go? This time, it was Carp's face, so Kong didn't give it. Don't worry, Marshal, I will definitely bring that traitor back, Sakaski assured. Porosalino looked at Mr. Cap, and then silently prepared to hit a wave of Chan oil. Kid Chen, please, Carp said complicatedly, pulling Hyuga Chen aside. Hyuga Chen knew what Carp meant. Let him release the water, and let Drago leave. Don't worry, for the sake of Garp you've done so much for me, I'll release the water, but whether he can escape or not is up to him. Thank you Chen, Carp said gratefully. If Drago was captured, at least he would be put in the deep-sea prison, and he would probably never be released for the rest of his life. Soon Hyuga Chen, Pelusalino and Sakaski got on the warship, and the warship quickly sailed out of Marin Vando. Much faster than the warship assigned to Hyuga Chen. Brother Chen, give me some advice. Pulsalino came over. Although Pulsalino didn't look very good at this time, he was not as wretched as the future. Hyuga Chen also doesn't know, how can people look so wretched? This is also a kind of talent. Where, in the future at the Navy headquarters, I need you to take care of me. Hyuga Chen said politely. The two of them, unlike Sakaski, didn't care about the pursuit of Drago this time, and Pulsalino didn't want to offend Garp. Coupled with Pelusalino's lazy personality, he won't do thankless things. But Sakaski is different. He is a soldier, a real might soldier, and a traitor like Dorag is absolutely not allowed. He doesn't care whether Drago is Carp's son or not, even if his own parents become traitors, Sakaski will kill them without hesitation, with a very extreme personality. Hyuga Tatsu and Pulsalino, who were talking casually and didn't take this matter to heart at all, Sakaski's eyes filled with anger. Don't look at us. After you meet Drago, you can bring him back. The credit will be all yours. Of course, if he escapes, it has nothing to do with us. Hyuga Chen said directly. I'm sure you're okay with Pulsalino, don't you? I don't have any opinion. I'm not a match for someone as terrifying as Drago, Pelusalino said quickly. Hyuga-chan's words were exactly what he wanted, and he didn't want to get involved in this matter anyway. Sakaski was furious. He knew the two didn't want to do business. Isn't it possible that Sakaski, you don't think you are Dorag's opponent? Do you still need our help? Pelusalino said. I was able to easily deal with Drago last time. You can't beat Drago, right? Hyuga Chen and Pelusalino said a word, making Sakaski very angry. Humph, I'll catch him myself. Sakaski snorted coldly. Porosalino gave a wretched smile, and then gave Hyuga-chan a thumbs up. Hyuga-chan looked at Pulsalino and was a little confused about whether to give him a kick or not. The smile was really wretched. Because the warship was very fast, it quickly caught up with Dorag's ship. Sakaski sneered, then his fists turned into lava fists, big fire. Hit it with a huge lava fist composed of lava, and the target is Dorag's warship. Drago's eyes on the warship turned cold, and he flew up, armament hockey covered his legs, and kicked the giant magma fist with one kick. However, the blasted magma fist formed countless lava bombs, hitting Drago's ship. He is not the only one on the Drago ship, there are many of his followers, who follow him to overthrow the world government with lofty ideals. But Drago alone can't stop the countless volcanic bombs. The volcanic bombs hit Drago's warship, leaving countless big holes. Dorag, I'll help you. Cook, you drive the boat first and leave with the people on the boat. I will block them. Drago stopped Cook. Cook is also a vice admiral. He is also a grandmaster in martial arts and swordsmanship. He is also very powerful, and can be caught by pirates with a reward of over 100 million. The bounty in this era is not as high as in the future, and the bounty over 100 million is already a very powerful big pirate. Even among vice admirals, Cook definitely belongs to the top group. No, if you want to go, it's yours to go. It's okay if we die, but you must not have an accident. Cook said very seriously. Chapter 463 The Battle of Sakaski and Dorag. I don't know how Drago brainwashed this vice admiral. Now Cook can just throw his blood on Drago. I didn't expect that the traitor still has you, Cook. Sakaski used the moon step to fly in the air, looking at Cook indifferently. He didn't expect that there was a vice admiral who defected with Dorag, which was simply provoking the authority of the navy, and Sakarsky, anger could not be more. Dorag, are you trying to run away? Hyuga Chen and Pulsolino floated in the air without using moon steps. Drago's expression was solemn. To be honest, Sakaski and Pulsolino, Drago was not afraid, even if they were 1-2, he was not without confidence. But facing Hyuga Chen, Drago really wasn't sure. Although he didn't use all his strength in the last test, Drago knew that Hyuga Chen didn't use all his strength. The face of Hyuga Chen, Drago was very afraid, and he really started to use his hands. Even if he used all his strength, he was not sure to defeat Hyuga Chen, not to mention that there were two monsters, Sakaski and Pulsolino. Sakaski and Pulsolino are called monsters in the navy, and Kuzan is also called monsters. The three of them can be said to have reserved the position of general. Now, as long as there is enough military merit and enough credit, it is a matter of course for the three of them to become generals. So in the face of these two people, although Drago was not afraid, he did not dare to underestimate it. None of you can leave today, fire! Sakaski shouted, and let the navy on the warship fire. Dozens of shells shot out in an instant, almost all of them hit Drago's ship, which instantly sank Drago's ship. Because the warship Hyuga Chen and the others were riding on was specially made, and the weapons installed on it were also extraordinary. In just an instant, Drago and the others were sunk. Drago's face was blue and purple, and his heart was aching. There were many elites on the ship that he attracted, and they were buried in the sea before they did anything major. You two better surrender quickly, or don't blame me for being merciless. Sakaski said coldly. Sakaski, I'm going to kill you bastard. Cook frantically pulled out the knife in his hand and slashed towards Sakaski. Hyuga Chen shot instantly and grabbed the knife in Cook's hand. Didn't you do it? Sakaski frowned. I'm not ready to shoot, I just like this knife. Hyuga Chen waved the knife in his hand. Although he didn't know the level of the knife, it was definitely not easy. After all, he is a vice admiral, can the knife he uses be simple? At worst, it should be a good and fast knife. If a good and fast knife is thrown into the system, it can also change a lot of exchange points. Drago's eyes flickered, and Hyuga Chen didn't make a move, which meant that there were only two of them, Sakaski and Pulsolino. I won't shoot either, Pulsolino said. Help me deal with Cook, and I'll deal with Drago myself, Sakaski said. If it is only against Dorag, Sakaski is confident to solve it, but if there is one more Cook, the result is unknown. Although Cook is nothing to him, he can be the straw that breaks the camel's back. No problem, Pulsolino thought for a while, and then agreed. Anyway, he was just an ordinary lieutenant general with no background. Pulsolino had no scruples. Light speed kick. Porosalino kicked Cook. This time he was very serious and didn't think about letting the water go. Cook couldn't react at all and was kicked in the abdomen. This kick almost killed Cook in seconds. Even if he didn't lose his combat effectiveness, he was in poor condition, with several broken bones and blood spilling out without money. Although they are all lieutenant generals, there is also a gap between lieutenant generals and lieutenant generals. For example, Garp, although he is a lieutenant general, can chase the pirate King Roger everywhere. If you change to an ordinary lieutenant general, let alone run after Roger, the crew on Roger's ship can solve the ordinary lieutenant general. Cough, Dorag, hurry up, I'll give you a delay. Cook shouted loudly. Drago shook his head. It wasn't that he didn't want to go, but that he couldn't go at all. It wasn't that Drago looked down on Cook, and he really couldn't delay with Cook's strength. Do you want to delay time? It's scary, Pelusolino said wickedly. It was terrible to say that. In fact, Pelusolino didn't take Cook in his eyes at all. Hyuga Chen shook his head. This guy can still say things that delay time. There is a limit to what he can do. He was almost kicked to death by Pelusolino, and he even said that he was delaying time. Hyuga Chen didn't know who lent him the courage. Aren't you afraid that after borrowing courage, this guy won't be able to pay it back in the end? Sakazuki and Drago also fought. Sakazuki did not use Rockberry, but fought Drago with Taijutsu. With Sakazuki's strength, it is naturally impossible to rely only on fruit ability, and his physical skills are also extraordinary, monster-level existence. Among the three generals, Pelusolino seems to be most dependent on the fruit ability. Of course, Pelusolino's physical skills are not weak, which can be known from his physique. However, Sakazuki's physique is really not the opponent of Drago. Drago ate the devil fruit of the animal, type Phantom Beast, which greatly increased the taijutsu. Taiju is where Drago is the strongest. It's just that Sakazuki was at a disadvantage just after the fight, and the disadvantage continued to grow, and the embarrassed Sakazuki had to use the Rockberry ability. Originally, I wanted to capture Dorag by relying on physical skills to show my strength, but I didn't expect that it was not an opponent, and the gap was not small. Sakazuki couldn't have imagined that Drago, who has always been invisible, would be so strong. It seems that Drago has been hiding his strength, Pelusolino said while playing with Cook. Cook was so embarrassed that he didn't fight him seriously at all, which was a humiliation to him. Are you angry? It's really scary. Pelusolino pretended to be scared. Pelusolino was so capable of taunting, Hyuga Chen wanted to punch him when he saw it. This is still not as wretched as Pelusolino in the future. After becoming a general in the future and obtaining the title of Kizaru, his wretched appearance is indescribable. Ming Dog. Sakazuki's hand turned into lava, and then sprayed it out, hitting Drago's heart. Drago didn't dare to resist hard. The devil fruit of the nature department was unparalleled, especially its destructive power, which could be said to be unparalleled. If the resistance comes down, it is very possible to be penetrated by the hot lava. Even if armament hockey can defend, Drago does not want to hard connect. With his superior speed and observation hockey, who can predict the attack, Drago avoids Sakazuki's attack. After dodging the attack, Drago's arms suddenly grew tough scales, and his palms turned into black claws, wrapping armament hockey, and grabbing towards Sakazuki. Chapter 464 Mythical Beasts Dragon Fruit. Blood splattered everywhere. Sakazuki clutched the scar on his chest. His face was extremely ugly, and he almost didn't respond to this quick move. If it wasn't for observation hockey, maybe he'd be dead at the hands of Drago by now. Sakazuki doesn't seem to be an opponent, Pelusolino said after finishing Kura completely. Would you like to help? Hyuga Chen chuckled and asked. Let's get rid of it. I don't want to be hated by Mr. Garp. Pelusolino waved his hand quickly, but he was very aware of Garp's strength. At the beginning, Pelusolino also went out to sea with Garp and knew how strong Garp was. Compared to him, Garp is more like a monster. His strength is outrageous, and he is not a human being. Pelusolino does not want to offend Garp. But is it really good for us to look at it like this? Pelusolino was still a little worried, and they were completely standing by with their current behavior. If Sakazuki and the marshal reported it, Pelusolino would probably run away without eating Kabuto. It's okay, just push everything on Sakazuki's head, Hyuga-chan said with a smirk. Poor Sakazuki, not only was he going to be beaten by Drago, but the two teammates also discussed selling him. If Sakazuki knew, he would probably be pissed off. The dog bites Yuhi Lotus. Dragon Transformation. Drago completely showed his fruit ability and turned into a black dragon, but it was a giant western dragon. After the transformation, Drago's strength increased significantly, blocking Sakazuki's attack, and then knocking Sakazuki out with one wing. Moreover, after the transformation of Drago, it can affect the weather, lightning and thunder, and strong winds, which look extremely windy. This is Dorag's fruit ability. I didn't expect that he also took a devil fruit. It looks like a dragon. Could it be the animal-type monster? Pulsalino looked at Dorag at this time. His expression was slightly dull. Hyuga-chen was also very surprised. In fact, he didn't know what fruit Drago had. When he first watched One Piece, Drago didn't show much at all. Whether there are even devil fruits is unknown. But now I know that the animal-type monster fruit is related to the legendary dragon. You're actually a devil fruit person too. Sakazuki, who was knocked out and almost fell into the sea, was shocked. At this time, the strength displayed by Dorag was really amazing. It is estimated that Carp did not know that Dorag had such a strong strength. Do you know what kind of devil fruit Drago eats? Hyuga-chen patted Pulsalino and asked. Pulsalino is the original inhabitant of the pirate world, and he must know more than Hyuga-chen. This fruit, I remember there is a record, it seems to be an illusory beast, a dragon fruit, with the power to destroy the world. Pulsalino was quite serious. He remembered that in the records he saw, that is, the previous generation of users of the evil dragon fruit caused a lot of trouble to the world government by relying on his own strength. The world government has also deliberately searched for this fruit, but it was not found, and it was specially classified as the ultimate devil fruit by the world government. It now seems that Sakazuki can't beat Drago at all. Pulsalino said with certainty, even if he also played together, he might not be Drago's opponent. Drago opened his mouth wide and spewed out a jet black flame, which looked like Amaterasu black flame, but its nature was completely different from Amaterasu black flame. In addition to the nature of burning, the magic flame spewed out by Drago can also corrode objects. Relying on the rock-berry fruit, Sakazuki took Dorag's magic flame. Although he was not burned, a wound was corroded on him. You two are still watching, not doing anything yet. Sakazuki stepped back and shouted. At this time, Sakazuki realized that he was not an opponent at all, so he had no choice but to let Hyuga-chen and Pulsalino do it. Forget it, we're not rivals. Hyuga-chen shook his head and refused. Hyuga-chen, you. Boom. PFF'd. Boom. Bang. A series of attacks hit Sakazuki, blood spattered, and then evaporated in an instant. It's really miserable, let's do it, but you can't let Sakazuki die, otherwise it's hard to explain. Pulsalino flashed beside Drago, his calf shone with golden light, and then kicked Drago with a bang. Target for Pulsalino. In terms of speed, the glittering fruit is the fastest devil fruit, unless you compare it with a space-based devil fruit, but it may not be comparable in a short distance. When it comes to attacks, there is not much to say about the penetrating power of the glittering fruit. It is estimated that there is no comparable. The glittering fruit and the thundering fruit should be the two most inexplicable fruits among pirates. Just a single speed can give you a headache. What's more, these two fruits are not only fast, but also powerful enough, especially the power of the thundering fruit, which is estimated to be comparable to the shaking fruit. Therefore, Drago, who had just beaten Sakazuki with great arrogance, had a headache when facing Pulsalino. It's not that Pulsalino is stronger than Sakazuki, it's a completely different focus. Pulsalino's moving speed is too fast for Drago to limit at all. However, Drago's defense in the form of a dragon was ridiculously strong, and Pulsalino couldn't do much damage to Drago. Moreover, Drago's resilience is very strong. When Drago had a headache with Pulsalino's speed, Pulsalino also had a headache. Hyuga-chen watched from the side. This dragon fruit was indeed somewhat invincible. Super attack power, super defense and recovery capabilities. The speed is actually not slow, but it is not as fast as the speed of light movement of the glittering fruit. The magic flame with corrosive effect can also be sprayed out of the mouth, which is too powerful to 4.1, and it is going to explode. Compared to this phantom devil fruit, Marco's phoenix fruit is simply too useless. The ability of the phoenix fruit is only one of the abilities of the dragon fruit. I wonder if Marco will cry to death in the toilet after knowing the ability of the dragon fruit. With the restraint of Pulsolino, Sakazuki, who got a chance to breathe, began to fight back. Hot magma shot out, and the seawater below continued to evaporate. Because of the strong wind and thunder effect of Drago's appearance, it rained heavily in the sky, and the strong wind and waves almost overturned the warship not far away. Dorag is not leaving yet. Do you have to force me to take action? Hyuga-chen looked at Dorag, who was still fighting, in surprise. Although Dorag seemed to be very powerful at this time, if Hyuga-chen really wanted to deal with him, he would be able to cut him down with one strike, and he definitely didn't need a second strike. Chapter 465 End Return to Marin Van Do. The two of them joined forces and couldn't deal with Drago. Sakazuki and Pulsolino looked ugly, and it was really embarrassing. Although Pulsolino is usually very lazy and doesn't seem to care about anything, he is also a very proud person. So this time Pulsolino is very embarrassed. Although his attack can cause damage to Drago, Drago's recovery ability is very strong. As long as he doesn't hit the key point of Drago, Drago will soon can recover. However, if you want to hit the key point of Dorag, it is even more difficult. With observation hockey, you can predict the next attack. Even if the attack speed of the glittering fruit is very fast, it will not be able to hit Dorag. In particular, the glittering fruit has a disadvantage, that is, the light can only go in a straight line, and the attack is also straight. A straight attack is definitely easier to dodge than an unpredictable attack. Brother Chen, come and help. Pulsolino asks Hyuga for help. Sakazuki snorted coldly and didn't say anything. The two of them really couldn't take Dorag, and they were even pressed and beaten by Dorag. Pulsolino is better, he is fast, and Drago can't help him. But Sakazuki was more unlucky. He was not as fast as Dorag, and was regarded as a breakthrough point by Dorag. The most important thing is that after the dragonization of Drago, the body is resistant to high temperature, and the effect of magma on Drago is not very good. Dorag, I advise you to run quickly, otherwise I really do, and you won't be able to run away. Hyuga-chen's body shone with lightning. Drago, who was attacking, stopped, and a sense of danger rose in his heart. Drago bit Kiba, ready to test Hyuga-chen's specific strength. Turning his head and giving up Sakazuki, he instead attacked Hyuga-chen, his claws shining with cold light. This is the real dragon claws. Since you have to kill yourself, don't blame me for not giving Garp face. Hyuga-chen's hands flashed blue thunder, and his harsh voice resounded through the sea. The hands snapped together, and then aimed at Drago. Lightning Cannon. Jinchuriki column containing powerful power is launched. This move can flatten a mountain. The power of thunder is so powerful. Drago couldn't dodge at all. The electromagnetic wave interfered with his body, slowing down his movements, and the lightning cannon hit Drago directly. Boom! Drago's body flew out and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Where's Dorag? Sakazuki clenched his fists and looked at Dorag, who had disappeared, his brows suddenly wrinkled. If he was knocked out by me, it depends on where he can fall. If he falls into the sea, he can only wait to die. If he is lucky enough to fall on the island, it can only be said that he is favored by destiny. Hyuga-chen faintly the way. Brother Chen's blow is really terrifying. Pulsolino patted his chest, he was indeed a little frightened. The mission is complete, let's go back. Hyuga-chen landed on the warship that was about to be overturned by the huge waves. Sakazuki frowned, and now there is no trace of Drago, how can it be regarded as completing the task? Pulsolino also landed on the warship and directly ordered to return to the naval headquarters. What happened to Drago now has nothing to do with Pulsolino. Pulsolino never thought to catch Drago. Seeing Hyuga-chen and Pulsolino leave, Sakazuki frowned and boarded the warship. Soon back to the marine headquarters Marine Fando, Marshal Kong, Sengoku and Garp are waiting here. How's it going? Did Drago get it back? Marshal Kong asked immediately. Garp stared at Hyuga-chen nervously, but since Marshal Kong was here, he couldn't ask Hyuga-chen directly. Seeing the nervousness in Carp's eyes, Hyuga-chen gave him a reassuring look. As long as there was no accident, Drago would never die, and would be seriously injured at most. Because Hyuga-chen aimed at an island, and then beat Drago over, as long as he didn't fall into the sea, with Drago's ability, he couldn't die. At this time, Sakazuki also reported the situation to Marshal Kong. "You mean Dorag was kicked away by Lieutenant General Hyuga and then disappeared?" Marshal Kong frowned. "This is equivalent to not determining that Dorag is dead, or that many rags are not dead. Dorag is also a devil fruit person. As long as he falls into the sea, he has absolutely no life," Pulsolino said. Marshal Kong's frowning brows loosened. Since Drago is a devil fruit ability, he really can't survive falling into the sea. As for whether Drago would fall on the island, this Marshal Kong never thought about it. In the boundless sea, the island is extremely rare, and the probability of falling on the island is too low. However, Marshal Kong didn't think about it. Hyuga-chen deliberately hit Drago to the island. "Cap, I'm really sorry. I hope you don't hate Lieutenant General Hyuga." Marshal Kong came over and comforted. "It's okay." Garp pretended to be very disappointed, but in fact he still believed in Hyuga-chen. His son should still be alive now. Drago was indeed still alive, and was knocked into the air by Hyuga-chen, hitting an island like a meteor, and the island was smashed into a sinkhole by Drago. At this moment, a big hole was punched out of Dorag's body. If it wasn't for the fact that he was in the form of a dragon now, he might have really been beaten into scum. Fortunately, the dragon form's repair ability is very strong, and Drago quickly recovered, then exited the dragon form, and stood up with his body. Just standing up, he knelt down on the ground. The recovery of the dragon form also requires physical strength, and 617 consumes a lot of physical strength. Drago is physically strong and can't hold on anymore, not to mention that his injury has not fully recovered. The powerful thunder and lightning did not disappear, and it was still wreaking havoc in his body. Within a few months, Drago couldn't recover at all. Drago stayed temporarily on this island, first recovering from his injuries, and then trying to find a way to leave this island and plan a plan to overthrow the world government. Navy headquarters. Because the pirates on the sea were rampant, Marshal Kong sent Sakazuki and Pulsolino to stabilize the sea. Hyuga-chen didn't leave. She was still in the naval headquarters. She had nothing to do to find some delicious food in the pirate world, and then went to the system space to discuss life with the girls, which was quite leisurely. "Chen boy, are you at home? Hurry up and open the door." Hyuga-chen raised his brows and asked if Carp had nothing to do and ran towards me every 3 days. "What's the matter with you, Carp?" Hyuga-chen opened the door and looked at Carp, but didn't let Carp in. Hyuga-chen doubted that this guy came here to eat and drink. Garp often eats and drinks. For example, Sengoku is very annoying to this old comrade in arms. Every time he sees Garp, he can't wait to hide, because Garp is not going to Sengoku to eat and drink twice. Chapter 466 Peach Rabbit. "Chen boy, why are you blocking the door? Let me in first." Hyuga-chen glanced at Carp expressionlessly, and then said, "If you have anything, just say it here. I'm afraid that my stockpile will suffer." "I'm here this time to thank you for showing mercy to my kid," Carp said. Hyuga-chen saw that Carp was empty-handed, and immediately became dissatisfied. "You came to thank people for being empty-handed like this. I didn't see that you came to thank me." Hyuga-chen was about to close the door. Don't close the door yet." Garp quickly blocked the door that was about to be closed. "Do you think I didn't bring anything? So you know, I know you still ask." Hyuga-chen looked at Carp with contempt. "Do you know why Sengoku doesn't welcome you? It's because you come to eat and drink and don't even bring anything. It's too vulgar to bring other things. I have better things for you," Carp said mysteriously. Hyuga-chen's curiosity was raised. Did Carp really bring something good? Hyuga-chen's face changed instantly. He was expressionless and unwelcoming just now, but now he invites Carp in with a smile on his face. This kid's face has changed so fast. Garp muttered in his heart, and Garp was stunned by the skill of changing his face. Poured a cup of tea for Carp, and then Hyuga-chen asked, "What better thing did you say? Could it be fooling me?" "How could I fool you? It's definitely a good thing. This is not something that can be measured by material things. I came to you at a great risk." Carp's face was wretched. "Your wretched face is almost the same as Korosalino's." Hyuga-chen compared Korosalino and Carp's wretched old face now. Carp was thick-skinned and didn't care what Hyuga-chen said at all. He lowered his voice and said, "Do you remember what I told you before about introducing Suru's sister Gion to you? Gion is Taotu, and Suru recognizes his god-sister. You're so bold, aren't you afraid that the crane will take care of you after you find out?" Hyuga-chen gave Carp a thumbs up. Carp shuddered. If the crane knew, he would definitely be washed as a piece of clothing, and then hung on the drying table to dry for 10 days and a half months. "That's why I said that I took a big risk. Don't say it out loud, or the crane will never let me go." Carp reminded. "Don't worry, I will never betray you. I'm doing this for your own good, please don't betray me." Carp was still worried and reminded again. "Don't worry, Hyuga-chen, promises with my personality that I will never betray you." Carp glanced at Hyuga-chen suspiciously. Does this kid really have a personality? "Forget it, I'll show you her picture." Carp took out a picture and handed it to Hyuga-chen. "This girl, Taotu, has a very miserable life. When she was more than 2 years old, her hometown was slaughtered by pirates, and there were not many survivors in her entire hometown. Fortunately, the crane passed by there at that time, shot out the damn pirates, rescued Taotu, brought Taotu to the naval headquarters, and recognized Taotu as a god-sister." "Wait, now Lieutenant General he is in his 50s, right? You said that Taotu was only 10 years old. When he was 2 years old, it was 8 years ago. 8 years ago, Lieutenant General he was at least in his 40s. Peach Rabbit's godmother is more than enough. Why did she become Peach Rabbit's god-sister?" Carp looked at Hyuga-chen with a puzzled face, and he also had a question mark on his head. "Only the old lady of Crane can answer this question for you, but she is very concerned about age, so you'd better not ask." Carp reminded, lest Hyuga-chen be involved in his death. "How about that little girl, Taotu, doesn't she look like a sign?" Garp winked at Hyuga-chen slyly. "Yes, you finally did a good thing." Hyuga-chen nodded in satisfaction. When Carp heard the words, his head was full of black lines, and he said that I didn't seem to have done anything good. "Then let's go. She should be in the cafeteria now, I'll take you to meet her." Carp hurriedly pulled Hyuga-chen out. Coming to the Navy cafeteria, this is the first time Hyuga-chen has entered the Navy cafeteria, he has never eaten here. I thought the cafeteria was bad, but now Hyuga-chen felt that he was wrong. Not to mention the luxurious decoration, even the food in the cafeteria was very rich. "And the food here is all you can eat." Garp looked at the cafeteria, and when his eyes swept to a corner, Garp's eyes suddenly lit up. "Go, over there." Garp dragged Hyuga-chen and rushed over. "Peach Rabbit, it's been a long time." When he came to Peach Rabbit, Garp sat down and greeted Peach Rabbit. "Let me introduce you, this is..." "No, I know you're Lieutenant General Hyuga, right, my sister told me about you." Momotaru looked at Hyuga-chen, her eyes twinkling. "It's nice to meet you. Carp also told me about you, and said he wanted to introduce you to me." Hyuga-chen sat down and said with a faint smile. Looking at Hyuga-chen's heart-warming smile and listening to what Hyuga-chen said, Taotu's little heart was beating like a deer. Carp's face turned black, and the dog hat on his head flew up because of his anger. Peach Rabbit face Yuhi glared at Garp with a threatening taste in his eyes. Garp's face turned pale. Taotu wouldn't tell Crane about this, would he? If he really told the Crane, wouldn't he really be out of luck? Hyuga-chen with a smile on his face, Garp's anger began to surge. It was all this bastard. "Cap, I think it's better for you to go out to sea to avoid the limelight. Hyuga-chen, kindly, gave Carp an idea. That's all. Carp sighed helplessly. Don't look at the crane as a woman, but the crane is not only able to use tactics, her strength is not weak at all, although it is not comparable to Garp, but she is definitely not inferior to the general level of combat power. After all, Doflamingo will flee after seeing the crane, and the future Doflamingo will at least be a quasi-general. Obviously, if the crane only relies on tactics, he will never be able to make Doflamingo fear, and he must have more strength than Doflamingo. You two, let's talk. I'll run away first. Carp got up and left. He was leaving now to run away and not want to be a light bulb. Hyuga-chen looked at Peach Rabbit up and down. To be honest, Peach Rabbit's development really didn't look like a 10-year-old girl, and Hyuga-chen believed that she was 15 years old. Although Peach Rabbit looks very iconic, no one dares to provoke Peach Rabbit. Peach Rabbit's combat effectiveness is not low, and ordinary colonels are not opponents. Tautu has beaten the colonel with one punch. Even if he is facing a general-level general, Tautu has the strength to fight. If coupled with Tautu's background, the lieutenant will not dare to provoke Tautu. At the age of 10, Tautu's strength is already very pervert. You, what are you looking at? Tautu was a little shy. If others looked at her like this, Tautu would have punched her long ago. But in this world, not only beautiful women have privileges, but also handsome guys have privileges. After all, no matter where they are, they all talk about their looks. Chapter 467 The Golden Lion Strikes. Hyuga-chen looked at Tautu's shy look, smiled, and couldn't help but want to tease her. Peach Rabbit, when I first saw you, I already fell in love with you. Can you be my girlfriend? Hyuga-chen looked at Peach Rabbit affectionately. Originally pink Yuhi-colored face instantly turned into a big Yuhi-colored, and Yuhi felt like he was about to bleed. I'm still too young. My sister will not allow me to fall in love. Tautu said hesitantly. Who said we were going to fall in love? Couldn't we be together if we didn't fall in love? Tautu's expression was stunned, and she blinked her eyes. Can they be together without falling in love? She said she didn't understand anything. Can we be together without falling in love? Tautu asked dumbly. Of course we can. We don't fall in love, we just have sex. Hyuga-chen said without hesitation, not afraid to teach Tautu bad. I don't know if Momota's older sister Suru will kill Hyuga-chen if she hears it, or use the washing fruit to cleanse Hyuga-chen's dirty heart. Tautu is relatively pure, and can't understand Hyuga-chen's words, and now he is still confused. However, Tautu is more willing to learn. If you don't understand, you can ask questions, and she will never pretend to understand. Lieutenant General Hyuga, can you tell me what do you mean by having sex? Looking at Tautu's pure big eyes, Hyuga-chen felt embarrassed instead. Hyuga-chen, whose face was thicker than the city wall, would be 190 embarrassed. This is really big news. I'm just joking with you, don't mind. Oh, Tautu nodded lightly, then looked at Hyuga-chen seriously and asked, Lieutenant General Hyuga, can you take me out to sea? I really want to go out to sea. Tautu's heart is also very longing for the vast and colorful sea, but her sister, thinks that she is too young and does not let her go to sea. Tautu also asked Garp to take her out to sea, but Garp was more afraid of cranes, so of course he did not dare to take Tautu out to sea. You're still too young. When you're older, you can drive a boat to sea by yourself. Hyuga-chen took a sip of the hot orange juice next to him. I'm not too young, and don't drink my orange juice. Tautu stood up in embarrassment and puffed out her small chest. What Peach Rabbit hates most is when others say she is small. Hyuga-chen glanced at a certain part of Peach Rabbit, and it was really not small. Could it be that the pirate world developed so early? What are you looking at? Tautu covered her face shyly. She could feel Hyuga-chen's eyes stop just now, and Yuhi was inexplicably dizzy on her face, very embarrassed. Even if I want to take you out to sea, your elder sister Crane will not agree. I think it's fine. Hyuga-chen calmly retracted his eyes. Then we can sneak out. Just don't let my sister find out. Tautu said very unwillingly. She really wanted to go to sea. I don't have any plans to go to sea right now. Let's talk about it when I really want to go to sea. Hyuga-chen really hadn't thought about going to sea for a while. Well then, be sure to tell me when you go out to sea. I will go out with you to catch pirates. I will be able to help you. I am very good. Tautu clenched her fist and cooperated with on her childish face. It didn't seem convincing. But in fact, Tautu is very strong. Although she is still a student at the Naval Academy, although she is still very young, she is called a monster. Tautu is one of the most potential naval cadets in this class, and also represents the future of the Navy. At this time, the T-Dolphin has not yet joined the Navy, so Tautu is the most potential student at this time. Boom! The entire naval cafeteria suddenly shook. Hyuga-chen's eyes narrowed, looking out the window at the guy floating in the sky, with golden hair like a lion's mane, and a rudder stuck on his head. Isn't this guy Shiki the Golden Lion? Did he attack the Navy headquarters at this time? Jia ha 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 ha. The Golden Lion stood in the sky and let out a wild and incomparable laughter. This guy is alone in the Navy headquarters. I don't know if he has a lack of brains or thinks he is a tough guy. Hyuga-chan felt that he should be a tough guy. He is the legendary great pirate, the Golden Lion Shiki, and the great pirate of the same name as the pirate King Galdi Roger and Edward Newgate. Tautu also recognized the Golden Lion Shiki. As a student of the Navy headquarters, there is a lot to learn. Those legendary characters are basically explained by the Academy, so it is not surprising that Tautu can recognize Shiji the Golden Lion. What should I do now? Tautu was a little flustered, and it was precisely because she recognized Shiji, the Golden Lion, that she was even more flustered. Don't worry, you're just a little student. When the sky falls, there is a tall one on your back. Hyuga-chen said calmly. Garp, who was about to leave the naval headquarters and go out to avoid the limelight, saw the Golden Lion with a solemn expression. How could the Golden Lion Squickup not know each other, and even Garp fought against the Golden Lion Squick. Although One Piece is Roger, the Golden Lion is no worse than Roger, or even better. Perhaps the personal strength of the Golden Lion is not comparable to Roger. But the Golden Lion has a lot of subordinates, and it is more difficult for the Navy than Roger. If the Golden Lion and the Navy go to war, the consequences are really unimaginable. Golden Lion Shiki, what are you doing here? Are you here to die? Sengoku shouted gloomily. Dare to break into the Navy headquarters so arrogantly, this is to hit their Navy in the face. How could you bastard Navy have the ability to arrest Roger? I want to see your ability, Jia ha 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 ha. The wild laughter of the Golden Lion Shiji resounded throughout the entire naval headquarters. All the navies in the Navy headquarters bit Kiba in resentment, eager to tear this guy who was showing off his power in the Navy headquarters to shreds. This guy is too arrogant, just a pirate, so arrogant. Tautu slapped the table angrily. Hyuga-chan is very calm. Pirates should be arrogant. Pirates who are not arrogant are not qualified pirates. However, arrogance is based on strength, and now the behavior of the Golden Lion to show off its might in the naval headquarters is a fool's behavior. How despised is the Navy in the end, to dare to fight against the entire Navy headquarters alone, is this impatient to live? To be honest, Garp alone can take down the Golden Lion. Of course, winning the Golden Lion will definitely cost a lot. If Garp is alone, even if he wins the Golden Lion, he will eventually overturn the entire Marin Bando, which is not allowed by the Navy. Lieutenant General Hyuga, don't you go and catch the Golden Lion. Momotaru pushed Hyuga-chen anxiously. This Golden Lion is very powerful at first glance. Of course, people of higher rank are required to appear at such times. I'm just a lieutenant general, just sit and watch the play. Hyuga-chen said lightly. How can you do this? Tautu was blushing, obviously very angry. Do you understand that guns are the best? A little girl is a little girl. You still have a lot to learn. Hyuga-chen looked at Tautu with contempt. Tautu got even more angry when she heard this, and Kiba's teeth clucked. Chapter 468 The Thunder Fruit Kills the Flying Pirates in Seconds. Aren't you afraid of Shiki the Golden Lion? Yes, this is the Golden Lion Shiki, the legendary big pirate. I'm just a little lieutenant general, so don't get involved. Hyuga-chen nodded naturally. How can you be afraid of death? Tautu was very unhappy. When facing pirates, the Navy must have the spirit of not being afraid of death. This is what the Naval Academy taught her, and Tautu has always kept it in her heart. Therefore, Tautu despises those who are afraid of death, especially if this person is a person Tautu used to like very much. Tautu is a little sad. I really haven't met many people who are really not afraid of death, so is there something wrong with me being afraid of death? Look at those Navy soldiers, they are not afraid to rush to death. You are a Navy general who is not as good as those soldiers. Tautu despised Hyuga-chen more and more. No matter how handsome or good-looking this kind of person is, Tautu doesn't like it. You don't understand, do you think they are not afraid of death? They are also very afraid of death, but they have their own families to protect and have reasons to fight. And I am alone in this world, I have no goal to protect, and naturally I have no interest in participating. I am now a bystander. Hyuga-chen chuckled. The families of these Navy are basically in Marin Vando, just for their own family, they have to fight. But Hyuga-chen doesn't matter, even if the naval headquarters is destroyed, it has nothing to do with Hyuga-chen. Humph. If you don't go to me, I'm going to stop the Golden Lion's destruction. Tautu stood up and jumped out of the window. Come on, Momotu, today next year, I will go to Matsuri to worship you at your grave. Hyuga-chen shouted at Momotu who jumped out. Peach Bunny Face Yuhi, is this cursing me? In fact, what Hyuga-chen said was the truth. Even with Tautu's strength, he even gave the Golden Lion a head when he went up, but it was not enough for the Golden Lion to slash it with one knife. Peach Rabbit was picked up halfway through the run. Peach Rabbit, hurry up and hide, this is not something you can handle, he said cautiously, carrying Peach Rabbit. Sister. Tautu, who was lifted up, was embarrassed, and then struggled hard. Lieutenant General Crane, leave Peach Rabbit to me to watch, you can deal with the Golden Lion. Hyuga-chen came over with a drink. Crane's expression froze, and then said, then Momotu, I will ask Lieutenant General Hyuga. The crane put the Peach Rabbit down, and then stepped on the moon and flew into the sky. Hyuga-chen looked at the generals and lieutenants who were flying in the air on the moon, and couldn't help but mourn the Golden Lion. This time, it seems that not only Garp and Sengoku were besieging the Golden Lion, but a group of people besieging the Golden Lion. This time, the Golden Lion should have died miserably, but this guy dared to come to the Navy headquarters to die, and Hyuga-chen is very admired for such behavior. After the Golden Lion died, Hyuga-chen decided to build a tomb for him to show his admiration for him, which is rare in the world of iron-headed babies. I'm going to help my sister catch the Golden Lion. Looking at Tautu who was still trying to run up, Hyuga-chen pressed her on her shoulder, but she didn't expect that Tautu was still a bare child and couldn't help with anything, but adding chaos was a good hand. Hurry up and let me go, Tautu shouted. When I saw you before, I thought you were very mature, but I didn't expect you to be just a little girl. Hyuga-chen shook his head. It seems that mature development does not mean inner maturity. Don't worry, this is the headquarters of the Navy. The Golden Lion can't make any waves. Unless the Golden Lion comes with his pirate fleet, it may be able to make waves, Hyuga-chen said lightly. After speaking, Hyuga-chen couldn't help but stare in the direction of the sea, and more than 50 giant ships were heading towards the Navy headquarters. Is it my crow's mouth? Those ships were the flying pirates of Shiki the Golden Lion, but they didn't expect to actually come to the Navy headquarters. In the face of many navies, Shiji, the Golden Lion who was still at ease for a while, also saw the fast-approaching pirate group, and couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, and then he was furious. Captain, we are here to support you. Bastards, who asked you to come? I can beat the Navy headquarters by myself. However, As soon as the golden lion Shiki finished speaking, he was punched in the face by Garp, and Kiba's teeth were knocked out several times. Bastard Garp, you actually took the opportunity to sneak attack. Golden lion Shiki barely stabilized his body, with anger on his face. If he hadn't used the fluttering fruit ability, he might have been punched into the sea by Garp's powerful punch. Once the devil fruit ability person fell into the sea, it would really be slaughtered by others. Oops, the pirates have been killed, what should I do now? Tautu had an anxious look on her face, and stayed in Marin Fando since she was a child. This is her home, and Tautu didn't want her home to be destroyed. Hurry up, hurry up. Tautu knew that he had no strength to stop him, and turned around and begged Hyuga-chen to take action. I will never do anything that is not beneficial. Hyuga-chen shook his head. This is his code of conduct, and he will never do anything that is not beneficial. Then I promise to be your girlfriend, so hurry up and take action. Hihi tilde you little girl, do you think I can really like you? Hyuga-chen looked up and down at Tautu, the contempt in his eyes was not concealed. Peach Bunny's angry face rose to Yuhi, is this disgusting? If you make a move, and you let me go east, I will never go west. How about listening to you in everything? That's what you said, you can't go back on it later. I will never go back on what I said, Tautu. Tautu was full of anger. This was because she didn't believe her, and it was a question of her character. Since that's the case, I don't mind accepting you as an errand runner, let's just take a shot. Thousands of thunders. Lightning radiated from Hyuga-chen, forming a huge thundercloud in the sky. After seeing this thundercloud, everyone's movements stopped, and Garp, Sengoku, Golden Lion and others looked to the sky. Countless lightning flashes in the sky, as if to destroy the world, such a powerful deterrent is shocking. After the thunder gathered, dozens of sturdy thunderbolts fell, and the pirate ship of the Flying Sky Pirates, which quickly approached the Navy headquarters, was hit. Boom! Boom! The pirate ship vanished into nothing, and the raging fire burned on the sea, burning the remains of the pirate ship Mukuro. Yuhi's eyes flashed. The Golden Lion has the ambition to dominate the world, and if he wants to dominate the world, he is definitely not enough. The pirates under him are the foundation of dominating the world. However, at this moment, it all vanished under the thunder, and all were buried in the sea, and the Golden Lion could only stare blankly at this scene. This is the pirate group that he finally pulled up, and there are many powerful characters under him, and they are all destroyed. It's really fragile, Hyuga-chen said lightly. Tautu opened her mouth wide and stared blankly at the man in front of her. At this moment Tautu's previous disdain for Hyuga-chen disappeared, replaced by deep admiration. Such a powerful force, wouldn't it be the god of legends? Marshal Kong, Garp and the others looked up blankly at the thundercloud in the sky that was more than 10 times larger than the island of Marin Fando, not knowing what to say. It is indeed the most destructive fruit in the natural system. This destructive power is really exaggerated. If the attack is Marin Fando, then Marin Fando has disappeared, right? Chapter 469 Kill the Golden Lion. Fortunately, Garp pulled him into the navy. If he becomes a pirate, it will be a disaster for our navy. Sengoku said silently. Edward Newgate, who is known as the strongest man in the world, may not have such exaggerated power. One move destroyed the pirate fleet of the Golden Lion. You must know that the Golden Lion's fleet is the largest pirate fleet. This kind of power is too exaggerated. Even the legendary ancient weapons may not have such power. Bastard, I'm going to kill you little bastard. Golden Lion Shiki looked at Hyuga-chen angrily, his eyes bloody Yuhi, as if he was going to choose someone to devour. You don't have the right to call me a kid. I like your 2 swords, and I think your devil fruit is pretty good, and I want to keep it. Hyuga-chen looked at the Golden Lion lightly. The 2 knives, Yingshi and Kumu, are also supremely fast knives. The Golden Lion Shiji can occupy 2 of them alone, which is really good luck. Of course, Hyuga-chen didn't know that this was the supremely fast sword. After all, It was not mentioned in the original book, but he knew that the two swords of the Golden Lion were definitely not simple. The knives that can be used by the Golden Lion Shiki are at least 21 sharp knives. In a word, Hyuga-chan likes his two knives. You bastard! Golden Lion got angry from his heart. These two knives are his favorite knives, they are extremely precious, not to mention he wants his devil fruit. What if you want to get devil fruits, especially those that have been eaten by humans? That's killing people, of course, and then waiting for the devil fruit to reappear. That is to say, this kid wanted to kill him, and the Golden Lion Skur was instantly angry. Blinded by the anger, the Golden Lion Shiji slashed towards Hyuga-chen with a knife. The golden sword energy pierced the earth and headed straight for Hyuga-chen. Golden Lion Shiji's swordsmanship is very strong, and his swordsmanship is also at the level of a great swordsman. This is almost impossible for the samurai in the Hokage world, but for the kendo masters in the pirate world, it is not easy to say, but there are still a handful. Susanoo in the Hokage world does have the power to cut off mountains, but it's actually not the same as swordsmanship in the pirate world. The pirate world relies on skill, while the Hokage world Susanoo relies almost entirely on violence. Looking at the sword energy that came over, Hyuga-chen took out the Kusanagi sword. His swordsmanship skills were stronger than those of the great swordsmen in the pirate world. Even if you don't talk about physical fitness, just talk about swordsmanship skills, the big swordsman is not enough for him to slash. With a flick of the wrist, the blade vibrated, and then slashed out. The Golden Lion's slash was like hitting an invisible barrier, and then it was instantly disintegrated, and the Golden Lion's body, which took out the knife, jolted violently, spurting a mouthful of blood, and the body flew out. What's going on? Garp and Sengoku looked confused. They just saw that Hyuga-chen swung a knife, and then the Golden Lion's sword energy slash instantly disintegrated, and the Golden Lion flew out. If they hadn't seen the miserable appearance of the Golden Lion, they would have thought it was acting. Shake the fruit. No, this is the use of swordsmanship to send out the power to shake the air to achieve the effect of shaking the fruit. The Golden Lion wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. I don't know when such a bad guy appeared. The Golden Lion guessed right. Hyuga-chan's sword is to vibrate the air through the blade, and send out an invisible vibration attack, which exerts a similar effect to the vibration fruit. This is a move that Hyuga-chen just created, and it's called the shock sword. It is also fortunate that the Kusanagi sword is strong, otherwise Hyuga-chen would not be able to release this move. If you want to release this trick, the quality of the knife is the most important. At least you need a big sharp knife to release it. I didn't expect you to be so strong not only in fruit, but also in swordsmanship. Golden Lion Shiki's expression was solemn. You have such a powerful force, why do you want to join the Navy? Why not join hands with me? How about we dominate the world together? The Golden Lion thought for a while and then invited Hyuga-chen. As for the destruction of the fleet and the annihilation of the Pirate Legion, this is not important. With the reputation of the Golden Lion, it is very easy to pull up a Pirate Legion again. You want to win me over? I'm sorry I don't have the idea to dominate the world. Hyuga-chen shook his head lightly. Marshal Sora, Carp, Sengoku and the others were relieved. If Hyuga-chen was really tempted to rule the world with Shiki the Golden Lion, then with the power he is showing now, it would definitely be a disaster for the Navy. Why? Golden Lion Shiki was puzzled. Is it not tempting to rule the world? I never thought of dominating the world. When you are strong enough, you don't need to dominate the world to show yourself. Then you are above the world. Jia ha 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 ha. You are right, but do you have power over the world? Hyuga-chen smiled lightly. This one, who knows? But I have one thing to tell you, and that is that you are going to die today. Hyuga-chen took the Kusanagi sword and pointed at Shiki the Golden Lion. Although his words were calm, as if he was talking about a trivial matter, his body was full of inexplicable domineering. In a word, directly adjudicate the life and death of the Golden Lion Shiki. Jia ha 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 ha. I want to see how you kill me. Lion Power Earth Scroll. Anything, in front of me, is nothing but a knife. Hyuga-chen said calmly, his light words filled with confidence. With one slash, the thunderclouds in the sky were divided into two halves, the ground was also divided into two halves, and even the sea was divided into two halves. The golden lion Shiji floated in the air, his eyes gradually became dull, a bloodline slowly appeared, and then spread like a spider web, and finally the whole body was covered with bloodlines. The breeze blew slowly, the golden lion turned into blood foam and slowly dissipated with the wind, and the sakura-ten and dead wood in his hands were also full of cracks. Everyone in the Navy headquarters stared blankly at the sea that could not heal for a long time, and the golden lion that was completely scattered into the sea with the wind, and remained silent for a long time. This kind of swordsmanship seems to be a bit pervert. The dog-headed hat in his hand fell to the ground, but he didn't notice it. How much does it cost to repair the Navy headquarters? 3.7 Sengoku looked at the ground that was cut open by Hyuga-chen in distress. This must be repaired, otherwise it will be too ugly, but the sea has already rushed up, and it is a big project to repair it, and I don't know how much Bailey will cost. But Sengoku thinks about it, this is not his own money, anyway, the world government has money, just let the world government allocate money. For the sake of their group to destroy the Golden Lions and the Flying Sky Pirates, I believe that the world government will be happy to pay this money, and maybe there will be a great reward. The Golden Lion died, and his flying pirates were also destroyed. 2 of the legendary 3 pirates have been completely reduced to legends. Was only one Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, who was indeed powerful at this time. At this time, Whitebeard has not been plagued by injuries, and the title of the strongest man in the world is definitely not a false name. Chapter 470 Become an Admiral. Little girl, remember what you said. In the future, I will let you chase chickens. You must not catch dogs. Hyuga-chen put away the Kusanagi sword, and then knocked Taotu on the head, reminding her, lest she go back. Don't worry, Peach Rabbit, will never go back on it. Peach Rabbit's eyes shone with stars, and Peach Rabbit has turned into Hyuga-chen's little fangirl. Hyuga-chen cut out that knife just now, the domineering arrogance that cut everything completely overwhelmed Taotu. Taotu was determined in her heart that she would be as powerful as Lieutenant General Hyuga in the future, killing all pirates with one strike. Originally, Taotu didn't like swordsmanship, but now Taotu is completely obsessed with swordsmanship. She must learn the strongest swordsmanship and kill all pirates. Just remember. Hyuga-chen took a sip of his drink, walked over and picked up the cracked sakuraju and dead wood, and then walked towards his house. Wait for me, Lieutenant General Hyuga, I want to learn swordsmanship with you, can you teach me? Taotu immediately chased after him. Children Chen's strength is really exaggerated, and I'm not his opponent. Sure enough, inviting him to join the Navy was the wisest decision I made at the time. Kapoor said Kiba with a smile. Garp himself admitted that Hyuga-chen is stronger than him, which is not simple. Garp's strength is terrifyingly strong. Rox, the overlord of the big pirate before Roger 20 years ago, was defeated by Garp. It was because of the defeat of Rox that Garp became a naval hero. To know the great pirate Rox. Among the future 4 emperors, there are many aunts and guys, who used to be the crew of the great pirate Rox. From this, it can be seen that Garp's strength is absolutely no worse than Whitebeard. A few days have passed, and the newspapers have been sent to all over the world by the newsbird. The headline of this issue is that Hyuga-chen killed the legendary big pirate Golden Lion. Looking at the newspaper in his hand, Whitebeard's face was solemn, and the Golden Lion Shiji was actually dead. Now the situation seems to be very unfavorable for the pirates. Forget it, it's none of my business. If the Navy dares to come to trouble me, I don't mind letting them try the sharpness of my naginata and the power of the shocking fruit. Whitebeard's ambitions are actually not very big. What he wants is to sail freely on the sea with his family, so he doesn't care too much about these. It's just this lieutenant general called Hyuga-chen. Whitebeard frowned as he looked at the handsome man with a sunny smile in the newspaper. Does this Hyuga Chen really have the strength to kill the Golden Lion, or was it deliberately touted by the Navy? Seeing that Hyuga Chen is a person with the ability of the Thunder Fruit, Whitebeard knows that Hyuga Chen's strength will definitely not be weak. The most destructive nature-type Devil Fruit, this Whitebeard is naturally very clear, having a Thunder Fruit is destined to be strong. However, Whitebeard knows the strength of the Golden Lion Shiki very well, and is a little weaker than him in terms of strength, so Whitebeard does not particularly believe that Hyuga Chen killed the Golden Lion Shiki. Perhaps the Navy deliberately pushed out this Vice Admiral with the Thunder Fruit in order to deter the pirates. In fact, it's not just Whitebeard who thinks this way, but other big pirates think so too, because Hyuga Chen in the photo looks too young, he doesn't even look 20 years old. So the things in the newspapers, those big pirates didn't believe it at all. However, they are very surprised that the Navy still has a lieutenant general with the strongest natural devil fruit hidden in the Navy. Many people have heard of the name of the Thunder Fruit. Many pirates still want to find the Fruit of Thunder, but unfortunately, trying to find the Fruit of Thunder in the sea is tantamount to looking for a needle in a haystack. Now that the Thunder Fruit is eaten, some people who want to get the Thunder Fruit are giving up. However, what they didn't know was that the Thunder Fruit is still on the empty island. If they go to the empty island to look for it, it is really possible to get it. Now is more than 20 years before the plot began, and the Fruit of Thunder has definitely not been eaten by Anilu. Sora, you did a good job this time. After we discussed it, we decided to promote you to be the Commander-in-Chief of the world government, and Sengoku to replace your position of Admiral. The 5 old stars with curly white hair and a flat hat said. Sora nodded, no surprises or anything. By the way, that Lieutenant General named Hyuga Chen, do you know his specific origin? He was introduced by Carp. It seems that even Carp doesn't know his origin, but he is very strong. The curly-haired 5 old star nodded, and then said, go on and promote him to be a general. Sora's expression was taken aback for a moment. He didn't expect that the 5 old stars would promote Hyuga Chen as a general. Compared with Hyuga Chen, Kuzan, Sakazuki and Pulsalino, the 3 who knew the basics and were not weak, were obviously more powerful. Fit to be a general. But this is the order of the 5 old stars, so Kong can only listen if he has any doubts. And at this time, Wu Laoxing had hung up the phone bug, and he couldn't ask if he wanted to. In the Holy Land Mary Joa, the 5 old men were sitting or standing, and all of them released a powerful breath, which made people know that they were strong at a glance. This Hyuga Chen's origin is unknown. Is it really good to make him a general? Said the 5 old stars, who was wearing a kendo robe and holding a knife. His strength is strong enough, and now he really needs a strong enough person to suppress the situation on the sea. Said the 5 old stars with curly hair. It's okay, he's just one of our pawns. The white long-haired 5 old stars said lightly. I think it's better to be careful. You can easily kill Shiki, the golden lion. I think you should understand what this means. The 5 old stars with blonde hair said. Perhaps his strength is very strong, but he can beat us to join forces. Said the bald-headed 5 old stars with disdain. Let's investigate first. Let the people from CP0 investigate the specific information about Hyuga Chen and understand his origin. White Long 770 Fat 5 old star said. Agreed, I really need to investigate the origin of Hyuga Chen first. In the end, the 5 old stars unanimously decided to send someone to investigate the origin of Hyuga Chen. After all, an unknown person, they are not at ease when using it, mainly because Hyuga Chen's strength is too strong. The 5 of them are confident in killing the golden lion Shiki, but it will never be so easy. At least a big battle is required to kill the golden lion Shiki. And Hyuga Chen killed the golden lion Shiji lightly, which shows that Hyuga Chen's strength is above them. The Navy headquarters, Hyuga Chen was a little surprised when he held the appointment letter, and he was actually promoted, and he became an admiral of the Navy. Of course, this is just an appointment letter, and it is certainly not that simple to become an admiral of the Navy. The true admiral is only after the ceremony of confession. Wow, Chen, you are going to become a general. Taotu looked at the appointment letter with envy on her face. With Hyuga Chen, and Taotu is no longer called Lieutenant General Hyuga, but directly called Chen. Looking at you, you don't seem to be very happy. Taotu looked at Hyuga Chen strangely. If she became a general, she would definitely die of joy. If you leave my house, I think I'll be very happy. Hyuga Tatsu said blankly. Taotu pouted, she would never leave until she learned swordsmanship. Chapter 471 Persistent Peach Rabbit. A few days later, the senior admiral of the Navy was called back, and Marshal Kong directly announced his abdication, and then let Sengoku replace his admiral. No one showed any sad expressions about this, and they should be happy. After all, Marshal Kong was about to be promoted and became the commander-in-chief of the entire army, with more power than the naval marshal. Other is to announce that Hyuga Chen will become an admiral. No one objected to this. Although Sakazuki expressed his dissatisfaction, he did not object. It is even more impossible for other people to object. In terms of strength, Hyuga-chan was able to kill the Golden Lion Shiki, and Hyuga-chan killed the Golden Lion Shiki and the Flying Sky Pirates for his credit. Poor Golden Lion Shiki completely became Hyuga-chan's stepping stone. Now as long as Hyuga-chan is mentioned, the Golden Lion Shiki who has died will be pulled out, and then the body will be whipped. It is impossible to live in peace even after death. It is regarded as a synonym for stupidity by the pirates on the sea. It foolishly attacks the Navy headquarters, the largest force on the sea, and then ends up being wiped out. The news that Hyuga Chen became the Navy's highest combat admiral was soon spread around the world through the news bird. Therefore, the pirates also settled down. No matter how the Golden Lion Shiki died, he was already dead anyway and was destroyed by the Navy. Even a powerful character like the Golden Lion Shiki was completely destroyed by the Navy, and these little pirates were naturally in danger. But the number of new pirates going to sea has not decreased. Maybe this is the temptation of wealth. The wealth left by Roger One Piece is very attractive, whether it is fame or money, it lures them to the sea. It turns out that the promotion ceremony is so simple. Hyuga Chen said that it was too simple, and it was not as complicated as the Hokage succession ceremony. It was just an announcement and it was over. Congratulations, Boy Chen, you've become an admiral within a month of joining the Navy, which is absolutely unprecedented. Carp came over and congratulated. Congratulations, Brother Chen. Pulsolino also came over and congratulated Hyuga Chen, and Kuzan also congratulated Hyuga Chen. Although Sakazuki was unhappy, he also congratulated him. There's nothing to congratulate, it's just an admiral. Hyuga Chen said with a wave of his hand. Everyone who came to congratulate was silent for a while. Carp gave a thumbs up to Hyuga Chen. You are so fresh and refined that the admiral doesn't take it seriously. Sakazuki is even more depressed. He has wanted to be an admiral for many years, and he has done enough credit for the Navy, but he is still a lieutenant admiral. Sakazuki was dissatisfied with Hyuga Chen becoming an admiral was because of the imbalance in his heart. Why didn't he become an admiral? This new man who joined the Navy soon became an admiral. After becoming an admiral, Hyuga Chen has not changed much except that the warship is more luxurious than before, and the equipment is also stronger. As the Navy's highest combat power, the admiral is actually not very much, especially when there are three powerful lieutenant generals, Sakazuki, Pulsolino, and Kuzan. During this time, the three of them were very active, just to accumulate military merit and become admirals. They were stimulated by Hyuga Chen. Even the three of them joined forces and fought against Whitebeard once. The result is self-evident. Although the three of them are indeed powerful, equivalent to three generals. But in the future, the old and injury-riddled Whitebeard can hang up Sakazuki, let alone the Whitebeard in his prime. After being beaten violently by Whitebeard, the three of them together were not Whitebeard's opponents, and escaped with serious injuries. If it wasn't for Whitebeard's unwillingness to tear his face with the Navy, it is estimated that only Pulsolino could escape with the glittering fruit. So it was considered that Whitebeard let them go. After being cleaned up by Whitebeard, the three of them were honest, and they are still living in the hospital of the Navy headquarters. The three of them, Pelusalino, were the least injured. And the most desperate Sakazuki was injured the most, and it is estimated that he will lie in the hospital for half a month. As a colleague, Hyuga-chen took some fruit, went to the hospital to console them, and then went home. As soon as he opened the door, he saw Taotu sitting in his house. "Why are you here? How did you get in?" Hyuga-chen asked, looking at Momoto who was sitting in front of the door. "Of course I came in over the wall. Can you teach me swordsmanship?" Momoto looked at Hyuga-chen with wide eyes in anticipation. "I don't have time to teach you. You can go to your sister, Lieutenant General He. She must be able to find a suitable teacher for you." "No, they're all too weak, so I'll take care of you." Taotu grabbed Hyuga-chen's hand. "Don't teach." Hyuga-chen picked up Momoto and threw it out of his small courtyard. "Damn, I will definitely let you teach me." Taotu stood up and stomped, with determination in his eyes. She is a very persistent person, and since she decided to learn swordsmanship with Hyuga-chen, she must learn it. Sitting at the door of Hyuga-chen's house. As long as he didn't agree, Taotu was ready to stay at his door and not leave. However, after a while, Taotu was carried away by the crane. Hyuga-chen waved to the crane with a smile on his face. The crane appeared here, of course, was called by Hyuga-chen. "I made a phone call with the phone bug, and let the crane take Taotu away, and wanted to rely on me. It was a dream. Sister, let me go quickly. I must learn powerful swordsmanship, and then catch all the pirates in the sea." "Then you can't block people's doors. It's too outrageous. Hurry back with me." Taotu, who couldn't break free, was carried away. After going back, Taotu was so angry that he didn't even eat. "Do you really want to learn swordsmanship with Admiral Hyuga?" Suru sighed and asked. Taotu nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. She really wanted to learn swordsmanship with Hyuga-chen. The day she saw Hyuga-chan's swordsmanship, she was so handsome. A casual swing of a knife can destroy the sky and destroy the earth, which is so desirable. Seeing Taotu's eyes are firm, it's not that he wants to learn swordsmanship, and he is also relieved. In fact, he does not object to Taotu's learning swordsmanship. But he was afraid that Taotu was completely overheated, and suddenly thought about learning swordsmanship, and then stopped learning half of it, which would definitely affect her future strength. "Let me tell you first, it is very hard to learn swordsmanship, especially if you are a girl. The effort you put in is several times, or even a dozen times, more than that of a boy," he said solemnly. "In this world, girls are at a disadvantage. In terms of physical fitness, women are inherently weaker than men. Most of the strong men among the pirates are men. How many are the real strong women? Although the aunt of one of the future 4 emperors is a woman, is she an ordinary person? This is a natural disadvantage, and there is no way to change it, unless it belongs to non-human beings like Aunt Sha Rocklingling. However, if you really look like Aunt, then it is estimated that 90% of people will choose to commit suicide, because it is too ugly. No, it can't be described as ugly, it's simply non-human. But I heard that Auntie was not ugly when she was young. I don't know if it's true, but Hyuga-chan knew that she was ugly when she was a child, and she is ugly now. Hyuga-chan has seen Auntie's bounty list, and she really looks very ugly. Chapter 472 Little Follower, Peach Rabbit. "Then can I find someone else for you to teach you swordsmanship?" he asked. "No, I'm going to let Hyuga-chen teach me." Taotu pouted. "You should address the Admiral with respect, and don't call the Admiral by his name." Crane taught Taotu, "It's not good to be rude." "I see." Looking at Taotu's perfunctory appearance, he knew that she didn't hear her heart at all, but forget it, who made her love this little sister so much? He couldn't bear to scold her either. "It's not easy to ask General Hyuga to teach you swordsmanship. I have also known General Hyuga's character. His character is rather lazy." "Then sister, is there anything you can do?" Taotu looked at the crane expectantly. Cap is familiar with him. Let Carp go and talk to General Hyuga. I believe he will give Carp some face, but it's not easy to please this old guy. It doesn't matter, leave it to me. I have the deadly handle of old Carp in my hands. Tautu clenched his fists, his face full of confidence. Crane looked at Peach Rabbit in surprise, not knowing what handle Peach Rabbit was holding onto Garp. Of course, Tautu wouldn't say it. If he did, it would be impossible for Garp to help. After eating, Peach Rabbit immediately went to Carp. Fortunately, Peach Rabbit came in time, otherwise Carp would have left the Navy headquarters. Master Carp, can you do me a favor? Tautu hopped over. 883 inches. Don't call me old man. You are his younger sister. He and I are the same generation. If he hears, the old lady will definitely take care of me. Garp said in a panic. Then you have to do me a favor, or I'll tell my sister that you wanted to introduce me to General Hyuga. Tautu snorted softly. Have you not told the crane yet? That's right. If you told the crane, the old lady of the crane has probably already been killed. It's fine if you don't tell me, so that I don't have to leave the naval headquarters for the time being. Carp breathed a sigh of relief. Hardy smiled. As long as you help me with one thing, I promise never to mention a word to my sister. Garp looked at Tautu with a shrewd light in his eyes. What this little girl asked him to do was definitely not easy, otherwise he wouldn't let him help. You first say what it is, and after you say it, I can decide whether to help you or not. I want Hyuga-chan to teach me swordsmanship, but he doesn't teach me. Can you help me and let him teach me swordsmanship? Momoda looked at Garp expectantly. Carp thought for a while, and then said, I can go and ask for you, but I can't guarantee that boy Chen will teach you. But didn't Chen boy say that he likes you very much? Why is he unwilling to teach you? Carp said very strange. Did Chen say you like me? Tautu Yuhi grinned, pointing her 2 fingers, very shy. Garp looked at the shy Tautu and laughed twice, and when he saw that Tautu was about to get angry, he didn't dare to laugh anymore. Then he followed Momodo towards Hyuga-chan's house. Lieutenant General Garp, as long as you can let Admiral Hyuga teach me swordsmanship, I'll buy you a newest dog head hat. Forget it, I still like this one now. I'm used to wearing it. If you can buy me some senbei and donuts, I'll be very happy. Carp said with a smile. Arriving at the door of Hyuga-chan's house, Garp knocked hard on the door. After waiting for a long time, Hyuga-chen opened the door, saw Momodo and Garp, and invited them in. Boy Chen, I'm actually here to ask you for something, I think. Needless to say, I know what you want to say. Do you want me to teach Tautu swordsmanship? Hyuga-chen interrupted Garp's words. Yes, I just want you to teach Tautu swordsmanship. Tautu is a very talented child, and he will definitely become a great swordsman in the future. Carp is very confident in Tautu's talent. Tautu's talent is no worse than Kuzan's 3 future generals. I'm sorry Carp, I didn't want to teach Tautu. Hyuga-chan shook his head. Why, do you hate Peach Rabbit? Garp asked in surprise. Tautu's eyes were filled with tears that could fall at any time. This was the first time she was disliked. This little girl looks very iconic, and she will definitely be a big beauty in the future. I don't hate beautiful women, but I am very lazy, and it's too troublesome to teach others. Hyuga-chen gave the reason for his refusal. Tautu heaved a sigh of relief, and took back the tears that were about to fall, as long as she didn't hate her. Ha 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 ha, in fact, this is easy to solve, aren't you lazy? In this case, you should take a small follower, let her do everything you don't want to do, and just guide her when you have nothing to do. Carp said with a smile. Hyuga-chen gave Carp a surprised look, and what he said seemed to make sense, and it seemed really good to have a small sidekick. Is she willing to do it then? Hyuga-chen looked at Peach Rabbit. I do, I absolutely do. Tautu said, raising her hands. Well then, you can be a sidekick by my side. I'll leave it to you in the future, so don't feel wronged. Hyuga-chen agreed. Don't worry, I will never feel wronged. Tautu clenched her small fist and said firmly. Now I'm hungry, hurry up and cook for me. Hyuga Chen instructed Taotu. Yes, it is guaranteed to make a delicious meal. Taotu replied, and then hurried to the kitchen to prepare. Taotu is also good at cooking, and usually cooks some food by herself. Of course, her cooking skills can only be said to be average. Chen boy, then I won't bother you, I'll go first. Garp waved his hand and walked out, then went to find Sengoku. He has a good relationship with Sengoku, and now he goes to Sengoku. Of course, for the sake of food, Garp doesn't believe that Hyuga-chan will take care of his food. Soon Taotu made a few dishes. She can only cook these dishes. Hyuga-chan tasted it. It was not a dark dish, it was not bad. Is it possible to teach me swordsmanship now? Taotu asked expectantly. If you want to be beautiful, it's impossible for me to teach you swordsmanship with just one meal. Now you should lay the foundation honestly and practice the 6 naval styles. Hyuga-chan waved his hand. Now Hyuga-chan found out that he was at a disadvantage by accepting Taotu as his follower, because Taotu said before that as long as he solves the flying sky pirates, she will never go west if he sends her to the east, so Taotu is already his follower. But since Taotu is a little beauty, forget it, if you suffer, you will suffer. Show your strength first. Maybe I can guide you. Hyuga-chan said to the disappointed Momotu. After Peach Rabbit heard it, she was overjoyed, and then she showed off her most proud strength. Peach Rabbit actually learned all of the 6 naval styles. Hyuga-chan was also surprised that he learned the 6 naval styles at the age of 10, which can be said to be very talented. Of course, Taotu is only barely able to use it, and is not proficient yet. If you want to be fully proficient in the 6 naval styles, it will take a long time to train hard, and your physical fitness must keep up. Hyuga-chan pointed out Taotu's shortcomings. Although he didn't learn the swordsmanship he wanted to learn, he also gained a lot. Didn't expect that Hyuga-chan was so familiar with the 6 forms of the Navy. You must know that Hyuga-chan joined the Navy not long ago, which made Taotu admire Hyuga-chan even more. Chapter 473 Challenge the 5 Old Stars. Time passed slowly, and 2 years passed quickly. The past 2 years, in addition to guiding Taotu, Hyuga-chan went to the system space to accompany the girls, and when she was bored, she went out to sea and caught a few pirates to pass the time. Hyuga-chan looked so lazy. Sengoku didn't say anything, not to mention that they had already said before, they wouldn't care about what Hyuga-chan did if there was no major event. But today may be a big event. Sengoku unexpectedly asked Hyuga-chan to come to discuss the matter urgently. Hyuga-chan slowly came to the conference room and found that the important generals were all here, which seemed to be a really important event. General Hyuga, you may not be too slow, right? Do you know that we are all waiting for you alone? Sakazuki's face was sinking. Sakazuki, I am a general now, you are only a lieutenant general, you are not qualified to accuse me. Hyuga-chan said lightly. Okay, business is important. Sengoku was actually uncomfortable, but he suppressed his discomfort in his heart. I called you this time because the 5 old stars of the world government sent an order to let us launch a demon slaughter order to destroy O'Hara in the West Sea. Garp's brows furrowed, and Kuzan's brows furrowed as well. Isn't O'Hara an archaeological holy site? Why did you launch a demon slaughter order? Garp asked, looking at Sengoku. This is the order of the world government. As a subordinate of the world government, we must implement it. Sengoku did not say why. He understands Garp's heart, but the orders of the world government are above everything else. The Navy is only a subordinate of the world government, and they can only execute the orders given above. O'Hara, Nicole Robin, Hyuga-chan whispered, holding his chin, but he muttered when no one cared. This time, the slaughtering order is led by General Hyuga, accompanied by Sakazuki, Kuzan, and Pulsalino. Do you have any opinions? Sengoku's eyes mainly turned to Hyuga-chan. As long as Hyuga-chan has no opinion, other people will also have no opinion. Even if they have opinions in their hearts, they can only hold back. Of course I have no opinion. I've been in the Navy headquarters for a long time. It's good to go out and play. Hyuga-chen lightly smiled. Why do you have an opinion? Hyuga-chen wants to see Robin as a child. But the world government takes this matter very seriously. With this equipment, it is no problem to go to war with Whitebeard. Soon the warships set off. 50 warships left Marin Bando and sailed to O'Hara in the West Sea. There were 50 warships all at once, which shows the degree of attention. Hyuga-chen sat on the deck. Momota wanted to come with him, but Hyuga-chen threw it back. There are 2 ways to go to the West Sea. One way is to go to the New World, and then go through the windless belt of the New World to reach the West Sea. Or to Reverse Mountain, the intertwining hub of the 4 seas and the Great Route, and from there into the West Sea. If it is a pirate, it goes without saying that the only way to go is Upside Down Mountain, but the Navy's warships can traverse the windless belt. In comparison, the first way is naturally relatively close, and the Navy wants to go to the New World, but it is not as troublesome as the pirates. Pirates can enter the New World through the Fishman Island on the bottom of the sea, and the Navy can submit an application to travel directly through the Holy Land Mary Joa to the New World. Although it is necessary to abandon the ship, it does not matter. Anyway, the New World also has naval warships, and it will go directly to the warships of the New World. This kind of thing can only be done by the Navy with the support of the world government. If it is a pirate, even if they are allowed to cross the Yuhi mainland, they will not bear their own ship. Of course, this pair of golden lions is relatively simple. The golden lion's fluttering fruit can fly over with the fleet. Of course, the golden lion does not dare to accomplish such a feat. The Holy Land Mary Joa has more masters than the Navy headquarters. What's more, he has died now, and he has no chance to complete this feat. However, this feat is about to be completed by Hyuga-chen, who controls the warship to fly directly into the sky. Both Tensagan and Rinnegan can control the repulsion, and flying is like a child. You can fly as high as you want, even if you fly out of the planet. Sakazuki and the others who followed were stunned. What about the one who agreed to walk across the Yuhi continent together? How are you flying now? Wu Laoxing frowned as he looked at the warship flying in the sky, flying here as a provocation. Could it be the ability of the fluttering fruit? Taopao Wu Laoxing asked with a knife. I don't know, this ship is Hyuga-chen's ship. Who knows if the fluttering fruit reappeared and fell into his hands? Dare to fly here, is this a provocation to us? Do you really think that if you have a little strength, you will be lawless? Let me teach him a lesson. The Taoist 5 old stars pulled out the first generation Goosh, and a strange black aura enveloped his body. Looking at the warship flying in the sky, I used all my strength to send out a slash, and the huge sword energy would cut the warship in the sky in half. However, the originally slow warship suddenly accelerated and passed through the Yuhi soil continent in an instant. The slash of the Taoist 5 old stars was naturally unsuccessful, and the powerful sword energy cut through the clouds in the sky. However, he didn't have any joy in his heart, instead his face was gloomy. Was this a trick? You bastard, you're actually making fun of me, I want him to look good. Taopao Wu Laoxing wrinkled a pimple on his forehead, and then tried to catch up. At this time, the gloomy blonde 5 old stars next to him held him down. Don't go, there's no need to know like a kid. In fact, this is his euphemism to give Taopao Wu Laoxing a step. If Taopao Wu Laoxing is not an opponent after catching up, it would be embarrassing. Although the 5 old stars were furious, they did not go to Hyuga-chen to settle accounts, which disappointed Hyuga-chen who was waiting for them to find him. These 5 old men are really cowardly. I stood on their heads. They just released a sword energy warning. It's really bad. Hyuga-chen took a sip of rum, and the warship slowly fell to the sea. It has been more than 2 years since I came to Pirate World, and this is the first time Hyuga-chen has stepped into the second half of the new world of the Great Waterway. The new world is the real stage for the strong, where the power of the Navy is extremely compressed. If it weren't for the pirates attacking each other, the Navy would not even have room to survive. After all, the Navy headquarters is not here. The navy waiting here looked at the warship that fell from the sky and then sailed towards the West Sea, with a wide open mouth and a face of surprise. Aren't we supposed to host the navy that executed the demon-slaying order and lend them the boat? How can I fly over a warship? A major general standing on the warship asked dully. Of course no one answered him. ... Of course, the warships equipped for the generals are not ordinary. Not to mention the equipment of artillery shells, the speed is absolutely astonishing. Soon the warship crossed the windless zone and entered the West Sea, one of the four seas. Compared with the Great Waterway, the pirates in the four seas were relatively weak. Pirates with real ideals have all gone to the Great Waterway to fight, and only those pirates who are weak and ignorant will think about being king and hegemony in the four seas. An object that thieves look down on. Chapter 474 Nicole Alvia _ General Hyuga, was it too arrogant before? You won't be punished. Asked the adjutant on the ship. Don't worry. Hyuga Chen waved his hands indifferently. There is a ship ahead, and the woman on it seems to be one of the mission targets. Hyuga Chen took out a reward list, which was a beautiful woman with white hair who looked very similar to Nicole Robin, and this woman was on the boat not far away. After the female soldiers on the ship heard it, they immediately took out their binoculars and looked over. General Hyuga's eyes are really sharp, and the other party is indeed Nicole Alvia, a wanted criminal wanted by the world government. The female soldiers looked at Hyuga Chen with admiration. From such a long distance, you can see it clearly. His eyes are sharper than that of an eagle. I am afraid that nothing can escape the eyes of General Hyuga. General Hyuga, what should I do? The female adjutant on the ship asked Hyuga Chen. A warning shot of a cannonball first. Hyuga Chen ordered. After Hyuga Chen finished his instructions, the cannon with the largest caliber in front of the warship was aimed at the ship in front, and then a huge shell was fired. And the people on that ship also found the warship. Captain Nicole, what should we do? The warship attacked us, shouldn't it be here to arrest us? The archaeologists on the ship said nervously. Don't be afraid. Alvia pulled out a sword with no point and no edge, and then slashed towards the cannonball. Relying on the impact of the explosion, their ship accelerated and sailed into the distance. Hyuga Chen stood up from the chair in shock, looking at Alvia standing with a sword in the distance. 10,000 grass and mud horses galloped past in his heart. How could Robin's mother be so powerful? This is at least a swordsman, right? No, this should be a great swordsman. Because of the sword energy from Alvia, after cutting the cannonball, he still slashed towards Hyuga Chen's warship without any hesitation. Hyuga Chen estimates that he is only weaker than the Golden Lion, an absolute swordsman of the great swordsman level, and a very rare female swordsman. When the sword energy was about to be slashed on the warship, Hyuga Chen said indifferently, Vector Operation Rebound. Sword Chi took a stronger stance and slashed back towards the boats of the archaeologists in Alvia. Alvia's eyes widened, her heart was dignified, and the danger of death enveloped her. Captain Nicole, hurry up and escape. The other party is Admiral Hyuga Chen, who is rumored to have killed the Golden Lion. An archaeologist put down the telescope in his hand and hurriedly said. No, I won't give up my team. Alvia slammed the boat with both feet, and then the boat rushed into the distance like a rocket. And Alvia held the broken sword, facing the unstoppable Sword Chi, and actually blocked the rebounded Sword Chi, but the whole person was also hit by the sword several hundred meters, and a line was drawn on the sea. Trace. Looking at the ship that has traveled far, Alvia smiled with relief, as long as her teammates were all right. Then she looked at the warship coming towards her with a solemn face, standing on the sea, her long white hair scattered behind her, the breeze blew, and she was valiant. She didn't choose to escape, she wanted to buy time for her team members. Although they have escaped far away, they are definitely not as fast as the warship. So Alvia was ready to stop the Navy's pursuit on her own. Soon the warship came to Alvia. Hyuga Chen looked at Alvia standing on the sea lightly. It is not the devil fruit ability that she can stand on the sea. Alvia has never eaten a devil fruit at all. She uses a technique similar to the Navy's 6-step moonwalk. Compared with the moon step, only one treads on the air, and the other treads on the seawater. Compared with the moon step, it is more clever. Of course, it is not ruled out that Alvia can also step on the air and fly into the sky. However, the strength displayed by Alvia really shocked Hyuga-chen. He originally thought that Alvia was an archaeologist with only knowledge, but he did not expect that his strength would be so awesome. But with such a powerful strength, how did she die in the original book? How did he get caught by Lieutenant General Saren of the Giants? With the swordsmanship she just showed, Alvia was able to fight the Admiral. Could it be that Saren was able to grab Alvia, whose strength was comparable to that of a general? Hyuga-chen can't figure it out. Maybe it's a variable, or maybe this is not the pirate world he knows, but these are not important. Hyuga-chen stood on the bow, looking down at Alvia who was standing on the sea. I didn't expect you, an archaeologist, to have such a powerful strength, which surprised me. I don't have enough strength. Do you think I can go out to sea to find historical texts? Alvia said indifferently. Yes. Hyuga-chen nodded in agreement. In this dangerous world, a person with no strength would definitely not be able to lead a group of researchers to find historical texts, or would he think that pirates are vegetarians? What's more, historical texts are taboos of the world government. Searching for historical texts all over the world has already explained the problem before they die under the world government CP organization. But while learning knowledge, he also has to train and practice swordsmanship, and Alvia is also really awesome. How much does it take to get to this level in both the fields of wisdom and strength? However, when Hyuga-chen was young, he was more powerful than Alvia. He practiced taijutsu, demonic illusion, ninjutsu, swordsmanship, and fruit ability together. He also refined chakra and was familiar with Tenseigin. Scary just thinking about it. But that's because Hyuga-chen has a perfect sage body. If there is no perfect sage body, Hyuga-chen would have exhausted himself to death from practice. Could it be that Alvia's physique is also different from ordinary people? The pirate world is not without people with different physiques than ordinary people, such as Blackbeard Tiki, who can eat 2 devil fruits, which is very strange. General Hyuga, let the subordinates catch her. Hyuga-chen's female adjutant's eyes twinkled. You're not an opponent, let me come. Hyuga-chen glanced at the female adjutant lightly, and her body instantly appeared in front of Alvia. Alvia was startled, and then immediately backed away. How could the speed be so fast that even her 0.0 couldn't react? The sword in your hand seems very strange. Hyuga-chen looked at the sword in Alvia's hand. There is no edge, and there is no sword point. It looks like a Western sword. This sword is called Katina. It is one of the 12 great swordsmen, and it is the sword of mercy. Alvia said lightly. Really, I didn't see your mercy before. It seems that you are not suitable for this sword. Sure enough, only the kind me can be worthy of this sword. Alvia frowned. Did she see her beloved sword? That's right, Hyuga-chen really liked her sword, and she didn't pay much attention to it before, but when Alvia said that she was one of the 12 masters of the supreme sword, Hyuga-chen immediately became interested. The first thought that popped up in my mind was to snatch the sword over. As for the immorality of robbing women, this issue will be discussed later. Chapter 475. Ask Alvia to be a guest on the boat. If you want to get my beloved sword, dream. Seeing Hyuga-chen, whose eyes were shining, Alvia was angry. This is her mother, and the one who passed this sword to her is something that must not be lost. I want your sword. Do I still need to dream? Hyuga-chen appeared behind Alvia and whispered in her ear. Feeling the heat in her ears, Alvia's face turned Yuhi, her body trembled, she regained her senses with absolute reason, and immediately turned around and slashed down with a sword. Hyuga-chen stretched out 2 fingers and clamped the sword that Alvia cut down. Although it was a bladeless sword, it still had a strong power in Alvia's hands. However, being caught between 2 fingers is a shame for a swordsman, and it is even more a shame for the enemy to you. Even in Alvia's state of mind, She was angry, and Hyuga Chen's move was to ignore her. And it also proved with 12 facts that I really don't need to take you seriously. Although your strength is really good, to me, you are still weak and pitiful. Hyuga Chen said lightly. Just when Alvia wanted to speak, there was a sudden pain in his abdomen, a mouthful of blood spurted out, fell on the sea, and sank toward the bottom of the sea. Hyuga Chen reached out and lifted Alvia, then threw her on the warship and took the sword from her hand. My sword. Alvia forcibly propped up her body and stretched out her hand to look at Hyuga Chen, who had come to the deck, and wanted to take back the holy sword Katina. Don't think about it, it's my collection in my hands. Hyuga Chen took out a box, opened it, and saw 2 swords inside, Sakura-ten and Kumu. At this time, Sakura-ten and Dead Tree were perfect, and there was no damage in the slightest. Almost cut to pieces by Hyuga Chen 2 years ago, but it has been repaired now. Of course, this is not repaired by these 2 swords. Although these 2 swords are extremely sharp and hard, they do not have the ability to repair themselves. This was repaired by Hyuga Chen's ability to use the horse charm. The horse charm was bought from the system space by Hyuga Chen when he was in the Hokage world, and then Hyuga Chen swallowed the horse charm and obtained the ability of the horse charm. In addition to the healing ability, the horse charm also has the ability to repair, which can restore the destroyed original object to a complete state. This ability may seem ordinary, but it is actually very useful. Hyuga-chan also put the holy sword Katina into the box, and it became the 3rd supreme sword in Hyuga-chan's collection. As for Reikiri, the supreme sword, it has been recycled by Hyuga-chan to the system. If I knew it earlier, I kept it first, and then I showed it to others later, and the force was instantly improved several times. Hyuga-chan waved his hand and asked the female soldiers on board to retreat. Hyuga-chan's order was above everything else, so the female soldiers on the boat naturally did not dare not obey the order and immediately retreated. Then Hyuga-chan looked at Alvia with a wicked smile on his face. That sword is very important to you, right? You really want to get that sword back, don't you? Hyuga-chan walked slowly to Alvia. What do you want? Alvia took a few steps back, the pain in her abdomen surged up, Olivia's face unconsciously showed a touch of pain, and there was a faint dizziness of Yuhi, because Hyuga-chan was so far away from her. Is too close. Alvia could clearly feel Hyuga-chan's breathing and the heat he exhaled. You study the historical text, you should know the 3 ancient weapons, right? Tell me about the Hades and the Heavenly Kings, and I will return the sword to you in exchange. You want to get the 3 ancient weapons? Yes, I do want to get the 3 ancient weapons. Hyuga-chan nodded. This important weapon must be very valuable. At least it is definitely more valuable than the supreme sword and devil fruit. How can such things not be obtained, otherwise it is not a waste. You dream, I will not let the world government get the 3 ancient weapons. Alvia shook her head firmly. I mean I want to get it, I'm not the world government. Hyuga-chan lightly smiled. Alvia frowned. Hyuga-chan's words contained a lot of information. Listening to the tone of his words, he did not pay any attention to the world government. However, Alvia still shook her head and understood the historical text. Alvia, who had really seen the 3 ancient weapons, knew very well the power of ancient weapons. This kind of power can never be controlled by anyone, especially Uranus, the King of Heaven. Alvia has really come into contact with the King of Heaven. The King of Heaven has the power to create and destroy the world, and can create and destroy life. Actually, I want to know, it's really simple, but for a bit of fun, let's forget it. Hyuga-chan's hand that was originally placed on Alvia's head suddenly retracted. He knew that Alvia should know most of the secrets of this world, and Hyuga-chan could read Alvia's memory and get all these secrets. However, the secret obtained in this way is not a trace of fun, so I thought about Hyuga-chan giving up reading Alvia's memory. Before you say what I want to know, please ask Miss Alvia to be a guest on my boat. As for your sword, let me keep it for you first. Hyuga-chan dragged Alvia, and then threw it into an empty room. She didn't need to worry about her injury. Hyuga-chen knew very well what she was doing. After throwing Alvia down, 573 Hyuga-chen left. Alvia was lying on the bed, clutching her stomach. Severe pain struck, and Alvia's face showed a painful color. Although I can feel that I have not suffered any serious injuries, it is really painful. It's the first time I've been so embarrassed. What I look like now is really ugly, Alvia said with a wry smile. When searching for historical texts on the sea, Alvia seemed to be favored by God and did not encounter any major troubles at all, but this time it seemed that she had run out of luck. Does he want ancient weapons? Alvia murmured. Alvia basically knew the position of the 3 ancient weapons. Even 8 years ago, she had seen the legendary ancient weapon king, and she also lifted the seal of the king and activated the king. It is precisely because of the King of Heaven that she decided to go out to sea to find the text of history. Thinking of the legendary king of ancient weapons, Alvia's face was complicated. The king, Robin. Alas, I shouldn't have activated the king in the first place. It's all my damn curiosity. It's better not to touch the unknown. But if I don't activate the king, then Robin will. Alvia didn't think about it anymore. Everything had already happened, not to mention that if time would come again, she would still choose to activate the king without hesitation. Chapter 476 Meet Robin for the first time. After half a day, Alvia recovered and could no longer feel the pain. Out of the cabin, Alvia looked at the surrounding waters. As for the West Sea, what Alvia is familiar with can no longer be familiar, not to mention this is the sea area she is most familiar with. This is going to O'Hara. Alvia's expression became tense, and the Admiral went to O'Hara, which was not good news for her. Did the Admiral go to O'Hara for no reason? Alvia immediately went to Hyuga-chen, who was sitting on the deck basking in the sun at this time. Seeing that Alvia was coming, his eyes narrowed slightly and he asked, "You came to me in a panic, so you wanted to tell me the whereabouts of the ancient weapons. This is the route to O'Hara. What are you going to do in O'Hara?" Alvia barely calmed down and asked calmly. "Of course we have to carry out the demon-slaying order. This is an order from the world government. O'Hara's scholars will not be left behind to completely destroy O'Hara," Hyuga said with a light smile. What? Alvia couldn't keep her calm any longer. O'Hara was her hometown. How could she watch her hometown be destroyed? "If you tell the whereabouts of the 3 generations of ancient weapons, how about I save O'Hara?" Hyuga-chen asked with a raised eyebrow. "I won't tell the whereabouts of the 3 ancient weapons. You'd better die, not to mention that you won't save O'Hara at all." Alvia didn't see the slightest idea of saving O'Hara in Hyuga-chen's eyes. Besides, even if Hyuga-chen really saved O'Hara, Alvia wouldn't say anything about the 3 ancient weapons. Because in comparison, the status of the 3 ancient weapons is important in her mind, or the status of the 3 ancient weapons kings is important in her mind. "Don't talk about it, just watch O'Hara be destroyed." Ha 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 ha. Hyuga-chen let out a hateful laugh. Alvia clenched her fists and said, "I can tell you the whereabouts of Sea King. You have to help me save my daughter Robin." "You mean the mermaid princess, right? I already knew this, you don't need to say it." Alvia was startled, but it took a long time to regain her calm. "Then I will exchange it with Pluto. I will tell you about Pluto, and you will save Robin." "I'm sorry, I'm only interested in heavenly kings. Other Hades and sea kings, I can easily get them." Hyuga-chen shook his head and said, "If you want to get Neptune, you just need to wait for Shiraishi to be born, and the design of Pluto is in the capital of 7 waters. It is not easy to build Pluto with the blueprint. As for the Pluto that has been created, it is best to find it, and it doesn't matter if you can't find it." Hearing that Hyuga-chen was only interested in the King of Heaven, Alvia's face was ugly. If you compare it, it is of course that Robin is more important than the King of Heaven. But she can't tell secrets about Uranus, otherwise Robin will be in danger too. "Don't you want to know something from me? Aren't you afraid that I will run away? Wouldn't it be good for you to grab my daughter Robin and use it to blackmail me?" Alvia said. Your method is very good. Hyuga-chen glanced at Alvia with admiration. It seems that Alvia really used any tactics to protect Robin. I'll save that little girl Robin. Hearing this, Alvia immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Alvia is very confident in her own strength. She has activated the Heavenly King and has been transformed by the Heavenly King, and her strength can definitely be ranked first. However, they were all defeated by Hyuga-chen in an understatement. This shows how strong Hyuga-chen is. Now that Hyuga-chen promised to help her keep Robin, it would definitely work. The group of female Navy soldiers on your ship know that I am on your ship. Do you want to kill them to silence them, or you are not afraid that they will reveal the news that I am on your ship? Or do you want to hand me over to the world government? If I hand you over, what will happen to you? Hyuga-chen stood up, wearing just a pair of big pants, showing the perfect muscles on his upper body. Alvia's face was Yuhi, and Hyuga-chen was lying on the chair with her back to her, and she didn't pay attention to Hyuga-chen. Now seeing Hyuga-chen's perfect body, and looking at Hyuga-chen's perfectly carved face, with deep blue eyes like a starry sky, Alvia is a little demented. This was the first time she was in a daze because of a man. Don't be in a daze, you haven't answered my question yet. Hyuga-chen stretched out his finger and flicked it hard on Alvia's forehead. Alvia's forehead Yuhi swelled up, mist suddenly appeared in her eyes, and she looked at Hyuga-chen in confusion. Hyuga-chen waved her hand in front of her eyes, and Alvia came back to her senses. Hyuga-chen a complicated look, he said, if you hand me over to the world government, then I hope you can protect Robin, maybe she can help you find the King of Heaven. I still need you to help me find the Heavenly King, and I won't hand you over to the world government, let alone what the world government is. Alvia was overjoyed, and of course it would be best not to hand her over to the world government. What about these female soldiers on board? They won't talk nonsense as long as they wink. If they dare to tell the world government, then kill them. Besides, I'm not afraid that the world government will know. Even if the 5 old stars knew that he was hiding Alvia and Robin, what would happen? Will he care? Soon came to O'Hara, Hyuga-chen took Alvia off the boat. Go and bring Robin here, I'll be waiting for you here. Hyuga-chen sat on the shore. Alvia nodded, she didn't beg Hyuga-chen to save the others in O'Hara, she was a smart woman and wouldn't do anything too far. It was good enough to keep her daughter Robin, and Alvia didn't ask for anything. As for the rest of O'Hara, it's all down to their lives, for which she can only say sorry. In fact, at this time, if Alvia confessed everything she knew to the world government, she could definitely let the world government let O'Hara go. But then, Robin, who is closely related to Uranus, is in danger. So at this time, Alvia chose to be selfish after all. She could give up her own life or the lives of others for Robin. Soon Alvia came with Robin. Robin timidly grabbed Alvia's hand. Hyuga-chen looked at Robin, his eyes narrowed suddenly, and he looked at Robin's heart, and then at Alvia, with a strange smile on his face. Alvia's heart suddenly burst, and her body hurriedly stood in front of Robin. Did he find something? Don't worry, I won't shoot at a little girl yet. Hyuga-chen walked up to Robin and hugged Robin with a dusty face. Robin closed his eyes and shrank. Hyuga-chen smiled. Now timid Robin reminded him of Conan. He thought Conan was the same as Robin when he just met Conan. Robin didn't have a good time in O'Hara. When facing other people, Robin would inevitably feel inferior. Alvia's eyes were complicated. Seeing Robin's timid appearance, she felt a little distressed. Maybe she shouldn't have gone to sea to find the historical text in the first place. But in order to solve Robin's problem, she has to find the historical text, which is very contradictory. Chapter 477 O'Hara Destruction. Hand Robin to Alvia, then bring their mother and daughter to the boat, where they wait for the others to arrive. Although Hyuga-chen can easily destroy O'Hara, he doesn't have the will, so let the extremist Sakazuki do it. After waiting on the sea for 2 days, Sakazuki, Kuzan and the others came, and 50 warships surrounded O'Hara with their guns aimed at O'Hara. Boom. 2 warships were sunk. Hyuga-chen looked around and saw the tall body of the giant Lieutenant General Saren. Alvia was not caught, and Robin was not encountered, but the giant Lieutenant General Saren still betrayed the Navy and fought against the Navy. The destructive power of the giants is really great. This is a unique advantage for ordinary people. Of course, there are advantages and disadvantages. The huge size limits their movement, and they are really disadvantaged in the face of agile enemies. Lieutenant General Saren, are you really going to betray the Navy? Kuzan frowned at Saren. Being friends with Saren, Kuzan naturally didn't want Saren to go this way. Those historians are just unarmed people. Is it justice for the Navy to kill unarmed people? Saren asked angrily. To question the justice of the Navy. Sakazuki was furious and shot without hesitation. The magma fist pierced Saren's body. Sakazuki went through the hole, leaving a very large hole in Saren, more than 2 meters in diameter. Even if Sa Long is more than 30 meters tall, this kind of injury is also a fatal injury, but the vitality of the giants is tenacious, and when such a big hole is punched, Sa Long can still stand. Sakazuki, who made you do it? Kuzan frowned. Even he couldn't react to Sakazuki's sudden shot, otherwise he would definitely stop it. A traitor doesn't have to live. I don't think General Hyuga will object, Sakazuki said with a serious expression. The injured Saren went mad and attacked the naval warship frantically. With the strength that the giants were proud of, he could sink a warship with one punch. Looking at Sarong, who was attacking a naval warship, Qingzi couldn't help him. Attacking a naval warship was already a serious crime, not to mention sinking several warships. Even if Saren can live, he will be imprisoned in the great underwater prison. Kuzan, you'd better not interfere, otherwise don't blame me for being rude to you. Sakazuki looked at Kuzan coldly. The cold air that was coming out of his hands suddenly disappeared. Sakazuki seemed to be serious, and Kuzan couldn't do anything about it. Unless Kuzan is willing to fight Sakazuki and save Saren from Sakazuki. There is really no comparison between Saren and Sakazuki. Saren can't make 3 moves in Sakazuki's hands. The body is too big, and it is a living target in the face of Sakazuki's attack. It is really miserable. If you change to another human vice admiral, it will definitely be much better than Saren. Soon Saren fell completely and closed his eyes forever. Kuzan gave Sakazuki a cold look, then turned his head away. He was afraid that he couldn't help but fight with Sakazuki. Sakazuki didn't even look at Kuzan, and directly ordered his men to fire on the island. The bombing of 50 warships, the entire O'Hara was blown up. Alvia looked at O'Hara with a tear on her face, while Robin stared blankly at this scene. Why bomb O'Hara? Robin ran to Hyuga-chen's side, holding Hyuga-chen with 2 little hands. Do you still need a reason? Hyuga-chen glanced down at Robin. With 2 lines of tears in the corners of Robin's eyes, he stubbornly looked at Hyuga-chen, his small fists clenched tightly, and there was fear and confusion in his eyes. This is the order of the world government. If you want to blame it, you should study what you shouldn't study. If you don't have the strength to touch what you shouldn't touch, you deserve to be unlucky. From Hyuga-chen's point of view, they are courting death by themselves and can't blame others. It's not wrong to want to study history, but if you don't have the strength to protect yourself, you are courting death yourself. The weak without strength, no matter what they do is wrong. This is the concept in Hyuga-chen's heart. Sympathy for the weak does not exist at all. The shells bombed the entire O'Hara, the tree of omniscience collapsed, and the fire burned violently. Hyuga-chen stepped on the island and looked at O'Hara, who had been reduced to ruins, with a calm expression on his face. It's completely in ruins. It's pathetic, Pulsolino said. Report to Admiral Hyuga. A refuge ship was found not far away. Do you want to intercept it? An admiral, running over, reported the report. Let this be handled by Sakazuki. I think you like to deal with this kind of thing, right? Hyuga-chen looked at Sakazuki with a flat gaze. Sakazuki nodded, and then went to deal with the refuge ship. With Sakazuki might's ruthless character, those on the refuge ship can be imagined. Why let Sakazuki go? Asked Kuzan, frowning, who also knew Sakazuki's character well. If Sakazuki was allowed to go, none of the people on the refuge ship would survive. Even if I let you go, Sakazuki will follow. The final result is still the same. Let people search to see if there are any historians on the island. Hyuga-chan ordered. Searching, let alone a historian, there is not even a living person. Hyuga-chan left directly, and the rest was left to Kuzan and Pulsalino to handle. And they won't complain, because for them, this is seniority. They are promoted to the senior admiral's seniority, and it is estimated that they will be able to become an admiral in a short time. In fact, in terms of credit, they are enough, and it will be a matter of time for promotion to admiral. Back on the warship, Hyuga-chan took Alvia and Robin away and returned to the Navy headquarters. Is there really no problem with you taking us to the Navy headquarters? Alvia was a little worried. No problem, don't worry. Flying finger gun. A blood hole appeared on the forehead of the female adjutant who came over, her eyes widened, and she fell to the ground unwillingly. The female soldiers on the ship looked at each other, not understanding why Hyuga-chan wanted to kill the female adjutant, and they were a little scared in their hearts. The person I hate the most is a traitor, throwing her into the sea to feed the fish. Hyuga-chan said lightly. His female adjutant was actually a member of the World Government CP organization. This Hyuga-chan knew, but he kept turning a blind eye. However, the woman had previously informed the world government that Alvia and Robin were on his ship. This is already a betrayal. Hyuga-chan is definitely going to kill her. If she doesn't kill her, should she keep it for the new year? I didn't intend to kill you at first, but it's a pity that you don't have long eyes, so you actually tipped off under my nose. Do you really think I don't exist? Hyuga-chan's observation haki enveloped the entire warship, and no one's every move could escape Hyuga-chan's surveillance. Although Hyuga-chan only occasionally released observation haki to monitor, but his female adjutant was unlucky, and she happened to be discovered by Hyuga-chan, so she could only say that she deserved to die. Chapter 478 Shock the Five Old Stars. Hyuga-chan's warship quickly passed through the windless belt and came to the New World in the second half of the Great Waterway. Without any intention of staying in the New World, it headed straight for the Holy Land Marijoa. Alvia is vigilant. Do you really want to hand her over to the world government? At this time, Alvia was ready to escape with Robin. Robin is sitting on the deck, looking at the boundless sea. Her eyes are blank, her hometown O'Hara has been destroyed, and she doesn't know where to go now. Although she met her mother Alvia, she had not seen her for many years. Robin was also very unfamiliar with her mother. She sat alone in the corner of the warship, feeling that the whole world had abandoned her. Hyuga-chan looked at the bewildered little girl Robin, and knew that she had learned two tricks from Orochimaru. Orochimaru was the best at dealing with the bewildered little devil. If Orochimaru has the ability to kidnap children, he can definitely guide Robin to get rid of his inner confusion, find the direction of life, and swear to serve him to the death. Do you want to hand me and Robin over to the world government? Alvia hesitated for a long time, but finally asked. Hyuga-chan ignored Alvia's question, stood up and walked slowly to Robin. Hyuga-chan with bewildered eyes, like a small animal that couldn't find a home. You are very confused and don't have any purpose in life, right? Hyuga-chan showed a malicious smile on his face. The uncle who kidnapped little Loli. Snowheim's voice suddenly appeared in Hyuga-chan's mind. Shueheim, to be fair, what do you think of me as an uncle? Hyuga-chan said unhappily. Haha tilde, Shueheim sneered. Hyuga-chan ignored Shueheim, reached out and touched Robin's head, with a gentle smile on his face to lower Robin's psychological defense. Sure enough, her handsome appearance, coupled with a gentle smile, is very lethal to the little girl Robin, and her vigilance has been gradually put down. Looking at Robin, Hyuga-chan patted his forehead. Sure enough, he still won't kidnap children. Should he go back to the Hokage world and learn art from Orochimaru? What's your dream, Robin? Asked Hyuga-chan sitting next to Robin. Robin shrank subconsciously and shook her head gently. She didn't know what her dream was. Then what do you want to do most? Hyuga-chan asked again. I want to be full, and then learn knowledge. I want to explore the mysteries of the world. Robin said with courage. Hyuga-chan smiled and looked at the blue sea. What about your dreams? Do you have any dreams? Robin asked, watching Hyuga-chan gather his courage. My dream. I don't have a dream, because my dream has already come true. Hyuga-chan lay on the deck, looking at the blue sky. Shirakumo said lightly. Alvia looked at the big and small who were talking, bit Kiba slightly, and would arrive at the Holy Land Mary Joa in a short time. If Hyuga-chan really handed them over to the world government, they wouldn't even have a chance to escape. Alvia wasn't afraid, but she was afraid that something happened to Robin. Since I let you on my boat, you will be fine. Hyuga-chan said with his eyes closed. Alvia calmed down slightly, and there was nothing she could do if she wasn't calm. She was just a target to be slaughtered by others, and she had no resistance at all. Soon the warship came to the Yuhi land, and the 5 old stars were standing here waiting for Hyuga-chan. Seeing the 5 old stars, Alvia was very nervous. The 5 people exuded a powerful momentum, which made Alvia tremble with fear. Hyuga-chan, give us Nicole. Alvia and Nicole Robin. The 5 old stars with a flat hat said expressionlessly. Hearing this, Robin grabbed Alvia's hand in fright and looked at Hyuga-chan. What kind of thing are you? You dare to order me? Hyuga-chan stepped forward, and a huge momentum suddenly rose. The sky was surging, as if a storm was coming. Wu Laoxing's knees bent slightly. The same momentum erupted from his body, withstood the pressure exerted by Hyuga-chan. I didn't expect you 5 lackeys, and conqueror's haki. It's really rare. Hyuga-chan looked at the 5 old stars lightly. Wu Laoxing felt the pressure from the oppression on his body. He couldn't speak at all, and everyone's face turned yuhi. If they open their mouths, it will affect them, causing them to let go of their breath, and they will likely be overwhelmed by this momentum. Alvia and Robin looked at the domineering Hyuga-chan with stars shining in their eyes. At this moment, Hyuga-chan has a fatal attraction to the opposite sex. Soon the momentum was put away, the turbulence in the sky subsided. Wu Laoxing finally breathed a sigh of relief, his body swayed slightly, and he almost fell to the ground. Hyuga-chan's conqueror's haki injured their internal organs. At this time, the 5 of them were pale and ugly. To be honest, among the people I've met, your strength is good, but it's not strong, so it's best to be polite when you talk to me. Wu Laoxing's face was even more ugly. Taopao Wu Laoxing held the hilt of the sword in his right hand, and wanted to draw a knife and cut it directly. But his hand was suppressed by the 5 old stars with blonde hair. Although he didn't want to admit it, the 5 of them were not necessarily opponents. Conqueror's haki alone, let them hurt. If they didn't have Conqueror's haki to fight, I'm afraid they would be crushed by Conqueror's haki. Hyuga-chan, don't forget, now you are a navy. The bald-headed 5 old stars said, resisting their anger. What do you want to express? The navy is under the jurisdiction of the world government. After Hyuga-chan heard this, he slapped the bald-headed Wu Laoxing on the face, and the powerful force made him turn dozens of times in place, and his neck almost broke. Although I'm in the navy now, maybe one day I'll be in the navy enough, maybe I'll go to be a pirate, do you understand? The bald-headed Wu Laoxing covered his swollen face, his head was dizzy, and the other Wu Laoxing didn't dare to say anything after seeing it. Because after they used observation haki, they couldn't catch Hyuga-chan's shot. What dare they say at this time? Are you going to avenge the bald 5 old stars? I'm sorry, the 5 of them are just a cooperative relationship, and the relationship is not good enough to kill other people. What are you looking at? Get the hell out of here. Hyuga-chan waved his hand, just like sending a dog. Although they were angry, they didn't dare to show it. The strength Hyuga-chan just showed had already shocked them. Hyuga-chan, who was above most of the Tianlong people, dared to fight. It seems that the safety of their mother and daughter need not be worried. Hyuga-chan controlled the warship to fly, and then flew away. Wu Laoxing could only watch with a gloomy face, not even daring to say a cruel word. You should be relieved now, right? Hyuga Chen turned around, with a gentle smile on his face, squatted down and pinched Robin's little face. Alvia nodded. She was really relieved now, and believed that Hyuga Chen would not hand over their mother and daughter to the world government. Chapter 479 Peach Rabbit Jealous. Is that the case? The bald-headed 5-old star was very unwilling, but he received a heavy slap, and the slap was not light, and half of Kiba's teeth were knocked out. Otherwise, what should we do? Even if we add up, we may not be his opponents. No wonder he dares to be so arrogant. We underestimated him before. Let's go and ask Lord Yimu for instructions first. Let's see what Lord Yimu's decision is," said the long-haired 5 old stars, who had never spoken. "Don't provoke Hyuga Chen for the time being. I can feel that he is not serious. If he is serious, he may be able to kill us in seconds with Conqueror's Haki." The blonde 5 old stars sighed. "It shouldn't be such an exaggeration. If you say that, isn't Hyuga Chen stronger than Lord Yimu?" Taopao Wu Laoxing frowned. "I am as the leader of the dragon people, living in the deepest part of Marijoa, among the flowers, the most noble person in the world government, and the master of the void throne. Lord Yimu is not something we can talk about. If this sentence reaches the ears of Lord Yimu, you will be miserable," the blonde 5 old stars reminded. The 5 hurried to report to I.M. Sama. Hyuga-chan's strength has exceeded the scope of what they can solve. Soon, Hyuga Chen's warship returned to the naval headquarters, and the little girl Taotu had already greeted him here. It's not just Momotu who greeted him, but also Carp and Sengoku. Hyuga Chen took Alvia and Robin off the boat. After seeing Alvia and Robin, Taotu frowned. Sengoku and Garp were puzzled. Of course Alvia and the others knew each other. This was an important wanted criminal named by the world government. Could it be that Hyuga Chen caught her? But it didn't look like she was caught. "General Hyuga, what's going on?" Sengoku asked. "The 2 of them are the people on my boat. Please program their identities. Don't ask me for the rest, go ask the 5 old stars. I think they will give you a satisfactory answer." Sengoku was even more confused. After thinking about it, he didn't ask any further questions. Didn't Hyuga Chen say it? Just ask 5 old stars to find out. A few words with Sengoku and Garp, Hyuga Tatsu took Alvia and Robin home, and Momoto followed. "What are you doing here?" After arriving at the door, Hyuga Chen tapped Taotu on the head. Taotu glanced at Hyuga Chen angrily. She didn't take her with her when she went out, and now she came back with 2 women who didn't know their identities. That little girl was fine, but Alvia made Taotu feel uncomfortable. There was no reason, but she was upset. Taotu took out a key from his pocket and walked over to open the door. Hyuga-chan showed a surprised expression. How could Taotu have the key to his house? "I didn't expect it. This is a match made by me secretly." Peach Rabbit stood up against the already quite large mountain, with a proud smile on his face. Hyuga Chen reached for her key. "I have lost the keys." I've already prepared." Taotu took out another key, and she didn't just have a key. Hyuga Chen glanced at her, then ignored her, pushed the door and walked in. After entering the room, Taotu couldn't help pointing at Alvia and asked, "Who is she? Why did you bring a woman back?" "It's none of your business for me to bring her back. You're a little valet." I'm concerned about your safety. Who knows if this woman is a bad person? Anyway, I don't think she is a good person." Taotu found a reason at will. "Of course my mother is a good person, don't talk nonsense," Robin said angrily, actually speaking ill of her mother. Although Robin was a little unfamiliar with Olivia before, but in these times, they have become familiar again, and Robin will naturally not allow anyone to say her mother. Alvia smiled mildly, not angry because of Momotu's words. Humph, fake smile. As long as one person is unhappy, no matter how well that person does, it will make you feel unhappy. The current Taotu is an example. Seeing that Alvia was upset, no matter what Alvia did, Tautu would feel upset. As for the reason, do you need a reason to be unhappy with a person? It seems that there is a need for a reason, but Tautu doesn't know what the reason is for her unhappy with her. Anyway, it is unhappy. Why are you so ugly? Robin said angrily. If you think my words are ugly, you can take your mother with you. I don't want to see you anyway. Tautu said bluntly. Chen. Robin stomped his feet, then looked at Hyuga Chen. She has small arms and calves, so she definitely can't fight with Tautu, because she knows she can't fight. At this time, I can only ask Hyuga Chen to talk about it. Robin, you have to deal with your own affairs. Hyuga Chen patted Robin's head and said with a smile. Tautu heard the words, and immediately became proud, looking at Alvia and her daughter with a proud face on his hips. Little sister, this is not your home. You have no right to let us go. Alvia patted Tautu's head. Who do you call little sister? I'm not young. Tautu angered Yuhi, straightened her weapon, and showed Alvia how big she was, telling her with facts that she was not a little sister. But in front of me, you seem to be the little sister. Alvia said with a smile, and inadvertently showed her perfect figure to Tautu. That kind of mature charm is indeed not comparable to a young girl like Tautu, and every move makes Tautu feel inferior. Alvia, go and prepare dinner. Hyuga Chen ordered. Yes, Alvia responded, and immediately went to prepare dinner, while Robin glared at Tautu before running to help. Damn, how can you bring this woman back? Tautu stomped her feet and said Yuhi with a small face. Why can't I bring her back? Hyuga-chan raised his eyebrows, wanting to hear the reason for Tautu. This woman is of unknown origin and is definitely not a good person. But I know her origins. I just don't like her. There was really no reason for it. Tautu said what she said in her heart. She just didn't like Orvi 2.8, she didn't like it very much. Hyuga Chen took a sip of water, then stood up and walked in front of Tautu. Peach Rabbit, aren't you jealous? What are you jealous? I'm not jealous, I've never been jealous. Tautu shy Yuhi's face and firmly denied that she was jealous. However, in Hyuga-chan's view, she was just jealous. Seeing that Hyuga-chan looked at her in disbelief, Tautu couldn't explain it, and explaining it was like covering up, and Tautu clearly knew that she was really jealous. Seeing that Hyuga-chan was taking other women with her, and she was a woman who was no worse than her in appearance and had a better figure than her, Tautu felt uncomfortable in her heart. Tautu has already decided in her heart that she will educate the woman after a while, beat her away, and speak with her fists. However, Hyuga-chan must not know about this, it must be kept secret. Chapter 480 Peach Rabbit vs. Alvia Fiasco. Soon Alvia will prepare a fairly sumptuous dinner. Alvia's cooking skills are okay, at least much better than Tautu. Hyuga-chan looked at Alvia. This woman is indeed very versatile, she needs strength, and she has knowledge and can cook. This beef and fish is not delicious. It's far worse than me. You have to learn more. Tautu picked up the chopsticks and took a bite, then commented. This pastry is too sweet. Don't you know that eating too sweet will make you fat? Every time Tautu took a bite, she picked a thorn. Anyway, there was nothing she couldn't pick out. Robin's little face was angry. How could this woman be so hateful? Robin wanted to hit this hateful woman in the face with a small fist. Peach Rabbit, seeing that you are so thorny, I'll treat you to eat that kind of thorny fish another day, specially for you to thorns. Hyuga-chan took a piece of meat from an unknown creature and tasted it. I have to say that there are indeed many delicacies among the pirates, because the ingredients are relatively good, and the meat of those sea kings and the large beasts 13 on the land are very delicious. Soon a large table of food was eaten, and there was not a drop of soup left, and Tautu's belly was bulging. Although she is the most picky, she also eats the most, which makes Robin even more unhappy. I think you should have some skills too. Now that you are full, why don't we have a contest? Tautu looked at Alvia provocatively. Alvia smiled gently, but did not refuse. Tautu looked at Alvia's gentle smile, and for some reason suddenly felt cold behind her back. However, this feeling disappeared in an instant, and Taotu was puzzled, thinking it was an illusion. Hyuga Chen glanced at Taotu sympathetically, and in terms of strength, the current Taotu couldn't get away with a single move in Alvia's hands. "Why do you look at me like this? You think I'm no match for this weak woman." Momota got very angry when she saw Hyuga Chen's eyes. "Since you insist on looking for abuse, it's your own business. I hope you don't cry for a while." Hyuga-chan patted Taotu's shoulder. "I will cry. It's a joke." Taotu is very confident in her own strength. Although she is young, her strength is not weak at all. Soon Taotu and Alvia came to the yard, and the two stood opposite each other. Taotu was unceremonious, pulled out the big sharp knife 21 gold pilu, and then used the 6th style shave of the navy, and instantly came behind Alvia, and slashed towards Alvia mercilessly. Robin's eyes widened and she looked very nervous. She actually didn't know Alvia's strength and was very worried about her. Touch. With a crisp sound, Taotu's knife was like slashing on a diamond, and the powerful shock force was transmitted, and Taotu almost couldn't hold the knife. How is this possible? Taotu's eyes widened. Alvia was covered with a layer of armament haki behind him, and Momotu couldn't even break through Alvia's defense. We'll meet armament haki Hyuga-chan. Her strength can be so strong, so even if Alvia shows more abilities, Hyuga-chan will not be surprised. Even Alvia's defense could not be broken, and Momotu suffered a big blow. I didn't expect this seemingly weak woman to be so strong. How is it? Do you want to continue? Alvia looked down at Peach Rabbit, and Alvia was taller than Peach Rabbit in terms of height. Alvia is about the same height as Hyuga-chen, maybe a little bit taller than Hyuga-chen. There is no way in the world of pirates, Hyuga-chen's height really does not have an advantage. Of course I have to continue. I must let you see how powerful I am. The Taotu's sword swung quickly, and the sword light enveloped Alvia. Taotu's swordsmanship is indeed very good, but that's just for the peers. In front of Alvia, it's really not enough. Alvia's arm covered armament haki, easily blocking Momota's Kimpiro. Sure enough, the mother is still very powerful. Teach this hateful woman a good lesson. Robin jumped up. Hyuga-chen, who was standing next to Robin, glanced at Robin. Looking at Robin now, he really couldn't see the shadow of the elegant and intellectual royal sister in the future. Alvia just kicked Peach Rabbit out with a light kick, and Peach Rabbit fell to the ground looking a little embarrassed. However, Alvia kept her hand. This kick would not hurt Taotu at all, it was just stained with some dust and looked a little embarrassed. Momotu, you are no longer Alvia's opponent, so give up. Hyuga-chen stretched out his hand and pressed Momotu's shoulder. Now Taotu has enough strength at this age, and if you want to increase your strength, you don't need to practice hard. It is age that limits the growth of Taotu's strength. As the age increases, the strength of Taotu will also increase. Taotu nodded. She wasn't someone who couldn't afford to lose. The big deal was to win back in the future. This is the Book of the Navy 6. You can read it for yourself. Hyuga-chen threw the Navy 6 to Alvia. Alvia opened the secret book, flipped through it all, and closed her eyes. Shave. Alvia's body moved quickly in the yard, and Momotu couldn't catch her. You learned it so quickly. Hyuga-chen was a little surprised to see Alvia learn how to shave the Navy's 6th style shave so efficiently. Although shaving is the easiest to learn among the 6 naval styles, and Alvia also has a strong foundation, it is not easy to learn. Alvia can learn so efficiently, it seems that she has a strong learning ability. Learning the Navy 0406 style shave, it would be easy to learn the moon steps and lantern feet. Of course, Alvia couldn't use it on the spot. She could use Yubu reluctantly. After all, she also had similar skills as Yubu before, and she could step on the sea and stand on the sea. But it's not so easy for Lanjiao, and pointing the gun is easier to learn, and you can learn it with a little training. Paper painting and iron block Alvia didn't plan to learn at all. With observation hockey, there is no need to learn paper painting at all. Observation hockey has practice to a high level and can predict the future. In contrast, paper painting is relatively poor. Iron nuggets are even more incapable of learning, because if you want to learn iron nuggets, you must first be beaten, not to mention armament hockey. Why do you have to work hard to learn iron nuggets? Tautu looked at Alvia, who was able to use the shave just after contacting the Navy's 6th form, and was immediately discouraged. It took her more than 2 years to practice before she could barely use the 6th style shave of the Navy. Of course, this can't be compared. When Tautu first came into contact with the 6th form of the Navy, her physical fitness couldn't keep up, and even if she learned the skills, she couldn't use it. After squatting on the ground and feeling depressed for a while, Tautu stood up with a firm expression on her face. She had to work harder to cultivate, at least not worse than Alvia. At this time, Tautu set a small goal for herself in her heart, that is to surpass Alvia.